I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good morning. Britain relies on twice as many as foreign doctors as most Western countries.
New statistics show that foreign-trained doctors make up 42% of the UK's medical workforce.
Ministers are now being urged to wake up to the over-reliance on foreign medics.
The Conservatives calling on the government to urgently act to train up homegrown doctors and nurses to secure the future of the NHS.
President Trump's defence secretary has warned of further US strikes against ISIS targets in Nigeria after the group was accused of targeting Christians.
President Zelensky is set to meet Donald Trump tomorrow in Florida for talks over a Ukraine peace plan.
The King and Prince William expected to make separate visits to America in the new year in what's being dubbed a charm offensive aimed at President Trump during the 250th anniversary of American independence.
In other royal news, newly released Irish government files reveal that Princess Diana was described by officials as by far the more predatory and skilled operator in the media battle that she waged against the then Prince Charles in the 1990s.
And a blow for the high street as early indications show footfall for the Boxing Day sales is down as much as 7%, as the full budget impact is expected to hit in early 2026.
A very good morning. What a difference a day makes. England are on the verge of winning the fourth Ashes Test inside 2 days in Melbourne amid fierce criticism of their MCG wicket. And tears of joy for Harry Redknapp as his horse, the Jukebox Man, wins the King George VI Chase at Kempton Park.
Will the sun shine where you are today, or will it be cloudy skies through this weekend? Find out in your full forecast coming up.
Hello, good morning to you. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Ben Leo.
I'm Penny Smith and this is GB News Breakfast. I'm sorry, but we've got a man who is more chuffed than a chuff thing on National Chuff Day. It is Aidan McGee, who's brought his Christmas present in. Oh, look at it. Now, he handed that to me today with this kind of smile. He went, look at this. And I went, oh, my goodness, all your recipes gathered together. And he went, no, you open it, and it's to write his recipes. It's just...
Yeah, I went to my. Sorry, if you weren't here, Ben, but I did my soup on my annual soup on.
Your annual soup.
Annual soup. Yeah, I bring it in every
fill
Christmas day. Every Christmas day, I bring in a different soup for everyone on all the guests and all the presenters to try. So previously, I've done tomato and orange. I've done pear and celeriac. I've done chestnut, and on Christmas Day, I did spiced celery and sweet potato. And so I went to my wider family yesterday, and they gave me a nice book for my birthday. Sorry, for birthday.
But you've got
Christmas.
to write it in. Are you actually going to write your recipes in?
Yeah, probably. A lot of people have been requesting the recipe, so it's a good place to
You could have
start.
sent some to me across the Atlantic, didn't pass your mind?
Well, no, I'm sorry, out of sight, out of mind.
Great. There we go. Merry Christmas.
But it looks like I've brought my own book out, but no, I haven't. It's just something to put my own recipes in.
Now, that's an interesting thing. Having been to America a number of times, soup is not a big thing on a menu, is it? They're not big on... I mean, there are certain times a year, I'm sure you can get pumpkin soup.
Mark White, who was sitting here on Christmas Day, said he doesn't even think it's a big thing in the south of England compared to the north of
England.
Or in Scotland, even, where he's from.
Yeah. They do there is a shop in America, which I've become accustomed to. They do grilled cheese, which is basically cheese on toast, soup for about $5, which
we
I
like
think
that.
is great value.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, do you have a lot of that? Do you?
A nice bit of
Yeah,
dunking.
and smashing
You must
that.
be dreaming a lot because the cheese makes you dream, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially American cheese because it's not real cheese.
Oh, really?
They can't do cheese.
I had an auntie who,
Cheers.
up in the northeast, I loved her soup. She used to put everything in the fridge that was either on the turn or half-eaten into the soup and then call it leek and potato, great cheese on the top.
Yeah.
And we used to love the fact that there were half-eaten sausage rolls in there, bits of it. It's great.
What, in the soup?
Yeah, but, you know, in those
Just
days...
blend it up?
Well, I'm not sure she blended it, no. They were just kind
Just
of in there.
chunks
But
of
just
sausage
cooked.
rolls?
But they were cooked. It was
Sounds
exciting.
revolting.
No, it wasn't exciting. It was exciting. It was like a lucky dip.
All right. Well, if we do breakfast again, bring some in.
Yeah.
I'll give you my evaluation. Right, let's move on to the serious matters. A new report has revealed that the UK has twice as many foreign doctors and nurses as most Western countries, with an influx of more than 20,000 foreign doctors a year to Britain.
Yes, so 2 years ago, 2023, foreign-trained doctors made up 38.3% of the medical workforce here, compared with the average of 19.6% across 28 developed and developing countries.
And the report comes as UK medical graduates struggle to secure entry roles into the NHS, with resident doctors, also known as junior doctors previously, citing foreign medics taking limited training places as one of the reasons for their pre-Christmas strike.
Well, joining us now is former political advisor Charlie Rowley. So, Charlie, the thing about this is that we train up our doctors, and then essentially it seems to, well, from some of the statistics, they trained up and they can't find jobs here, so they all go to Australia. I mean, I'm simplifying. Obviously, they don't all go to Australia, but
I think that's pretty much it.
And then we're reliant on foreign medics.
Yes, and you know, it costs about £160,000 to train a doctor in the UK. So a new graduate that will be going through that whole process, that gets the qualification, that's born and bred in the UK, that wants to go into the NHS, an institution that we all do love and admire and should rightly protect because of the unique benefit that it gives us, knowing that if any of us fall ill, however severe or extreme or not, we can get that medical attention without the fear or worry about the cost attached. So that is a great thing that we have in the UK. However, it is slightly soured if the fact that you train to go into that profession and you're unable to get a job. About 1 in 4 people that are applying for those junior doctor places, now resident doctors, cannot get the vacancy. It is offered to someone from overseas.
Was it not your old, as we saw with the Boris wave, was it not your lot in 2019 onwards, Boris Johnson, who made doctors an occupational shortage in the UK, which sparks this influx of... I mean, we've always had foreign workers in the NHS, of course. I think more than 50% of doctors are foreign-born. But there was a massive influx in 2019 onwards.
There was, yeah. I think according to the report, the advice given to whether it's clinical commissioning groups or NHS trusts changed from 2019, where you were supposed to give priority. Up until that point, priority was always supposed to be given to a UK-trained medical professional, as opposed to recruiting somebody from overseas. However, I think... as with the last 14 years, as many commentators on the left and right, I should imagine, want to point out, the government was tied up with all kinds of things, from trying to get Brexit done, where there was internal political warfare totally within the Conservative Party and probably across the country, then dealing with a pandemic where I think obviously restrictions were lifted in order to ensure that actually the country was able to protect the NHS and make sure that it was able to deliver for people that were suffering from COVID.
See, the difficulty here, right, is the fact that they can't get jobs at the moment. That's because the foreign doctors have actually got those jobs. And, of course, you can only get a new job if there's a space. And until somebody leaves that space, you can't get a job. So that's it, isn't it? So, actually, it's in some ways, it's nobody's fault.
No, but it's you're absolutely right. At the moment, it's very difficult if you are training and if you're graduating as a new doctor. There isn't a vacancy there until and unless you build the things like those 40 new hospitals that some were delivered under Boris. I don't think spades have gone in the ground into all of those places or upgrades yet. But the NHS received not at the budget just gone, but the first Labour budget, it received a £28 billion extra boost in order to make sure that there are places
so
there.
So we are getting the £350 a week week.
So
On the side of the bus.
The Brexit dividend. And so there is more money going to the NHS. People will wonder, it's a good question, but I mean, people wonder, where does that money go? Because you can't just keep throwing money at a service if we're now seeing still waiting lists and still seeing people who are trained in the UK not getting placements.
You see, we come back to the thing as well about not being able to get a doctor's appointment, which is why people end up going into hospitals. And surely that, therefore, is the place where they should be going.
Well, I think there's a whole conversation actually to be had because you can't just keep throwing money at the NHS. I mean, I'm of a view, just talking to people who are lucky enough to be doctors and have had those places. Of course, they will see anybody that goes before them if they book an appointment, if you're able to get one. But there are a lot of people that are, for whatever reason, and I'm not criticising or chastising a particular group of society, but there are lots of people that have a GP appointment that might not necessarily actually need a GP. They might just need a phone conversation because they're a bit lonely. There might be, and there are people that present themselves at A&E because they fear that they can't get a doctor's appointment, so they'll rush to the other end of the spectrum, clog up A&E waiting lists. That's why you have people on trolleys in corridors, which is a horrific sight.
It's not just that. There are triage nurses who say, who actually make sure that you're actually going to be seen at some stage. And I'm sure that they possibly even say to people, by the way, you could have been treated at a doctor's.
Totally. Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You are triage, so it's not as though you're sort of ending up on a trolley just because you're going in there. No,
but you're absolutely right. But the fact that there are people who are on trolleys who are waiting to be seen because, there's a bit of a bottleneck issue. But also, we've had things like the introduction of the 111 telephone number scheme to help, which is, if you've been able to use it. But I think what people want to see, and look, the doctor strikes that we've had month after month have not helped with those waiting lists. But I suppose if I was ever, because I'm feeling quite festive still, I suppose, time of good cheer and will and all that, the only small ounce of credit you could give to the BMA, who primarily striked because of pay increases, totally unacceptable pay increases. One of the things that they did get out of the government was actually securing those new places that come on stream within the NHS will go to British-born, British-educated doctors as opposed to recruiting from overseas.
Yeah. Well, still not happy about it, are they? Still striking.
But still striking, and still plan to strike in the new year. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, folks.
Food for thought for when. Thank you, Charlie. Right, I think we have a comment from the Health and Social Care. The Department for Health and Social Care, a spokesman has said, we hugely value the contribution of doctors and nurses from around the world who have chosen to work in the NHS, but these figures expose the absurd legacy we inherited. A failure to train enough homegrown medical professionals has left us overly reliant on international recruitment to plug the gaps.
We have committed in our 10-year plan to prioritise UK medical graduates to undo the policies introduced by the last government, which opened up competition for jobs to doctors from around the world.
Right, attention goes across the pond now because following the Christmas Day airstrikes launched against Islamic State terrorists in northwest Nigeria, President Trump has described the move as a Christmas present to protect innocent Christians.
Many Republican supporters of the president have celebrated the joint operation with the Nigerian government, as the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has also hinted there could be more to come.
And in other news, President Trump is set to meet with Volodymyr Zelensky tomorrow in Florida at his so-called Winter White House, Mar-a-Lago, for talks over a Ukraine peace plan, with reports suggesting the Ukrainian leader is willing to bring a peace plan up for referendum with the Ukrainian people if Russia agrees to a 60-day ceasefire.
Now, we're joined in the studio by Defence Editor of the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Robert, just to explain a little bit more about where these strikes have taken place in Nigeria.
Well, we know where they've taken place. They've taken place in northwestern Nigeria, Sokoto. President Trump has talked about protecting Christians. Actually, as far as I can make out, there aren't many Christian minorities in that particular part of Nigeria. So it's about they're in the north in scarce numbers, but not so much in that region, more to the northeast. We've had the welcome from the groups in the congressional groups in Washington, but actually I think it's about something else. There has been growing alarm at what is termed the ungoverned space, right across that slew of Africa where ISL, ISIS, you name it, militant groups have been getting stronger because they're uncontrolled, and they're also mixed with organised crime. And we've seen the level of these activities, kidnapping of children from Christian schools, but also blowing up a mosque spectacularly because they're divided within themselves, the Muslim militants. And very reluctantly, I think Trump has got involved in this. Why do I say reluctantly? Because Africa didn't feature overmuch as a priority in the national security strategy published on the 25th of November.
Yeah, and also, Robert, the MAGA base, President Trump's base, he ran on a ticket of not getting involved in foreign wars, not interested in Ukraine, not interested in anything else, you know, deal with the cost of living, deal with making Americans' lives better and easier. And yet here we are again, getting involved in a foreign conflict. So I guess that has to weigh on his mind politically as well. Yes,
he's involved 4 ways, isn't he? Ukraine, he can't get out of Ukraine. He's going to try. He'll try again tomorrow. We can talk maybe a bit later about that, with the prospects for the talks with Zelensky. He's involved actually in the Middle East and Gaza, but Yemen is also looking very unstable and worrying, with the Iranians getting active again. We've now got the West Africa, and we've got Venezuela, which is a war, which isn't a war. Although he went, but this is a president in his second and last term. I don't think he'll go for a third term. I think there's a lot of talk about it. But they get very, very active. And he was a very effective peace president in his first presidency. And he is quite, by his own manifesto, he's really fixed on this peace thing, not just for the Peace Prize. But what he is discovering is that you can't have peace without arms. You may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you. And this is where I think he's in a bit of a pickle over Europe. He needs Europe more than he suggested in his national security strategy, because he needs Europe to be America's Eastern Atlantic shield. So it's quite a complex thing, and war will dominate his presidency, I'm afraid.
And the problem is, and The Independent has picked up on this today, the headline is, "Hitting ISIS in Nigeria may inspire militant attacks in the West."
I don't like the inference of that, because you've got IS and you've got IS sympathisers, because then we have to go deep into social media, the internet, and particularly the dark web. It's going to happen, and if it's going to happen, it's out there already. Yeah. And you can't say, oh, you know,
we shouldn't do that because,
we shouldn't do that because anyway. It is all around us, and I think we have to be very, very careful about it. But it's very interesting how Trump, I think, is beginning to focus more on Africa, because Africa, again, needs him. Africa, within 25, 30 years, is going to be well over 40% of the world population. And Nigeria, by the end of the century, will be bigger in population, way bigger than the United States.
Also, Robert, a massive Chinese influence in Africa.
Oh, well done. Sorry, that's the big thing. Yeah. The Russians are trying to get back in with the remnants of the Wagner Group, but it's REE, rare earth elements, and it's the strategic minerals. Trump is well aware of that, and that war is very, very nasty indeed, the one between Rwanda and the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. But in the terms you've described it, it's absolutely strategic to the global economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
One war that may be coming to an end soon, well, I don't know, we've said this many times before, is Ukraine-Russia, because Zelensky is attending Mar-a-Lago, the Winter White House in Florida. I think it's today, isn't it, or tomorrow? Tomorrow, to hopefully secure, or at least what he suggests could be a referendum put to the Ukrainian people with a peace plan. Are we any closer to ending this war?
To quote another item, the sage Vicky Pollard, yeah, but no but. Yeah. Because it's 90% done, but the 10% is a real devil in the detail. And one Mr. Ushikov, the hard-man advisor on foreign affairs to Putin, said, no, it's not really done. We want to go back to what we really wanted in the first place. Point is, Russia is doing badly. by its own terms, on the ground. They think the casualties have been up to 400,000 this year alone. So if you've lost 1.2 million people missing, dead, wounded, are you prepared to face that, to close the war off, to take over the whole of Ukraine, assuming you don't smash up the civilian population? You're going to have to raise another million? It's not World War II terms. We're in a completely different world there, and it's very, very tricky as to what will happen. Funny enough, I think the Russians will welcome Zelensky saying he'll have a referendum and possibly even a presidential election, changing the constitution of Ukraine to say we can have an election now in wartime. Goody, goody, goody. We've mucked around with elections before. We know all about it. Let's have a really good go at this. And there are a lot of oligarchs around on both sides prepared to throw a lot of money into it.
Robert, can I ask just quickly, please? If, excuse my ignorance here, but if Russia is losing on the ground, why are they... A, why can't Ukraine finish the job? And B, why are they taking swathes of land in, say, the Donbass?
They're not, because the latest thing, sorry, I'm going to get really nerdy now.
No, go.
Around Kupiansk, I'm just reading the latest. There have been counterattacks. The ingenuity of the Ukrainians, particularly in robotics. You know, the Americans love talking about blah-de-blah-de-blah, look at the F-35 plane, it's the digital battlefield. No, it isn't. It's the automated battlefield. And it's amazing, there are things like sort of bashed up, barely bigger than a Land Rover, with huge machine guns on the back, completely remote controlled, like the kiddie car at Christmas, you know, that they are terrific at that. Oh, we're knocking out 4 out of 5. But a 5th one gets through and gets into the Russian position. So it's very fluid, but it's a stalemate in real terms there, because they should have taken the whole of the Donbass 18 months, 2 years ago, given the weight of numbers that they have.
Got it. And those UAV drones as well, I mean, they are something new, aren't they? Surely they're war crimes. Just very quick last word. Are they not war crimes, those UAV drones? Because they toy, you have teenage controllers in Kyiv or wherever controlling these drones, toying with Russian soldiers.
I rather sigh. I think what technically is war crime is just wall-to-wall there. Absolutely, because I think it's very difficult in this kind of war, citizens' war, to who is a civilian, who is innocent, who is what. And there's horrible violence on both sides. It has aspects of a civil war, but it's a very uncivil civil war, as most are in the end.
Let's hope it comes to an end. Robert, thank you very much. Defence editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Thank you very much.
Time is 21 minutes past 6. Let's get the weather now with Tom Morgan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day there across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain just pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so turning to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy dense freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, still to come, a new technology has been designed to automatically contact emergency services for motorbike riders in the event of a crash, and we'll be telling you more about that next. Motorbikes, I don't know,
Well,
a little bit dangerous, not my cup of tea.
we're going to be talking about that shortly.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to GB News Breakfast. Right, we all know that at this time of year our roads are typically far more dangerous thanks to poor weather, darker nights and generally people not following the law. But new figures are showing that the group most at risk are motorcyclists, as they make up 1/5 of every collision victim.
Thanks, though, to some pioneering technology, there's an app called Real Rider SOS, which will now automatically call emergency services if a rider is involved in a crash.
Our national reporter Sophie Reaper has been taking a look at how this new app could be saving lives this festive season.
I lost control of my front wheel, which in turn slid me across the road. I was in a lot of pain. I damaged my ribs in my back. So at the time I wasn't sure what injuries I had, but I knew I was in a lot of pain.
Every 17 minutes, someone is killed or seriously injured on British roads, with the highest number of accidents taking place in the winter months. 20% of all casualties are those riding motorbikes, making them extremely high risk at this time of year.
If I'd have been riding that road on my own, what the outcome would have been if I'd crashed and I was on my own and I'd been knocked unconscious and I didn't have the ability to call the ambulance service. That was the biggest scary moment for me, to be honest. Put me in a position where I'm not invincible, and it made me very vulnerable from that perspective.
But lucky for Scott, he wasn't alone. He was carrying a new pioneering piece of technology, the Real Riders SOS app, which, in the event of a crash, automatically contacts the emergency services.
It looks for a series of decisions, essentially. So a rapid deceleration, an impact, and then a tumbling through time and space. If each of those things occur, you have a notification that's sent directly to the rider. If they're up and about and they can move around, they can actually intervene at that point and they can switch the application off. If they're unconscious or if they're badly hurt, they can leave that to run its course, and then it's sent directly to the closest ambulance service to the rider's location.
The app is designed to get critical help as soon as possible, to minimise lasting damage and sometimes even to save lives. But the team want it to be a last resort, and so are urging riders to take the necessary precautions to stay safe.
I would say to anybody on a motorcycle, be visible. Remember it's dark, remember it's cold, remember it's icy. Look out for things like overspill of diesel, anything that can compromise your position on the road. And ideally, use any safety equipment that's available to you. So great things like air vests, our application, great helmets, gloves, anything that you can do to keep you sort of safe and secure on the road would be a great thumbs up from me.
Over the coming days, roads are likely to be far more dangerous. So no matter what vehicle you're driving, make sure to take care. Sophie Reaper, GB News.
The time is 6:30. It's time for our daily reflection.
The GB News 12 Days of Christmas, Day 3.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufnell, a vicar in the Church of England. One of the ways we decorate our home for Christmas is with a little hand-carved wooden nativity scene, complete with animals, shepherds, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. It helps remind us that Christmas is about celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. But about now, we begin to think about packing the decorations away and putting them back in the attic for next year. Of course, that closely mirrors many people's connection to Jesus. We think of him for a few days around Christmas, and then he goes back into the attic of our minds. But for many of those who knew the man Jesus when he lived and walked on earth, his impact shaped and defined the rest of their lives. One such person was a man called John. He spent the rest of his life pondering the message of Jesus. He never went back into the attic of his mind. And as an old man, he wrote it all down in what is now my favourite book of the Bible, John's Gospel. He ends his book, his life's work, by speaking directly to his reader to tell them why he's written. He says, "It's so that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name." Many, including myself, have claimed to have met the man Jesus, not in history, but in the pages of that book. And for those who have, he will never go back into the attic of our minds.
Right, still to come, some breaking news from down under. England have just won the 4th test of the Ashes in Melbourne.
Really?
Thankfully. There we go.
Aidan's going to be over the sport now.
Bit of a consolation.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
What I've discovered is that a comet that was observed by the Chinese in 5 BC, I put together the information from their observation to come up with an orbit that would take this particular comet very, very close to the Earth. And as it passed the Earth, probably about the distance to the moon, a position on the rotating Earth would have seen the comet pause for a period of hours over a location. We have the same thing now with the geosynchronous satellite. If you stand at the equator, there are geosynchronous satellites that stay over your head 24/7. This comet was so close to the Earth that it would have had the brightness of like a first quarter or full moon. So it would have been clearly visible in the daylight.
So it would have been easier for them to follow. And how quickly would they have had to have travelled? Could they have travelled fast enough to keep up with it?
Well, it would have been a direction. So it turns out it takes 2 or 3 hours to walk from Jerusalem to Bethlehem. It's a relatively short distance. And that's the period of time where it behaved like this for those few hours. So there was the time available. Now, of course, their trip from the east, it would have taken many weeks. And the Chinese said the comet was visible in the constellation Capricorn for more than 70 days. And it's that appearance in one constellation for an extended period. Pilots know this. If you see an object in the sky while you're flying a plane, and it's not moving left, right, or up, down, it's actually on a collision course, or nearly so, with you. So the comet was heading more or less directly towards the Earth until, at least in my theory, they arrived in Jerusalem and walked that distance from Jerusalem to Bethlehem.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Aidan's here with some good news for a change on the cricket front. Bazballs, is it the Bazballs rules?
Yeah, it does today, actually, yeah. First Test win down under for 15 years, and it kind of is a bright spot in a tumultuous, chaotic and, quite frankly, farcical tour so far with everything that's gone on. But let's focus on today just for now, because this time yesterday it looked desperate for England. They were all out for 110 in reply to 152. But then they managed to get Australia out overnight for 132. They made them bat last night, which was important. And then they've won it with 4 wickets to spare this morning. Some great knocks from Zach Crawley, 37, Ben Duckett, 34, Jacob Bethel on 40. Look, let's be clear on this. I mean, Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood and Nathan Lyon all missing for Australia, so there is a little bit of an asterisk next to it. And it is, of course, too little too late. They've lost the first 3, so the series is gone. And then there's a wider point as well. Another test done and dusted in 2 days. Now, this is well, it's not Test cricket if we're not seeing it play through to the end. You could say, yeah, well done on the winners, because they've got it wrapped up in a short period of time. But Kevin Peterson said earlier on that this wicket is not giving anything to the batsman, and we're seeing short-form cricket in a long-form game. And it does have repercussions for the economy, because in Melbourne they were expecting at least 4 days play, possibly even 5. 90,000 people are going to have their tickets refunded tomorrow because it's been done and dusted too early.
Oh, so they get a refund, do they?
They do, and it is
very generous.
So they get a refund, and then with day 4 and 5 not happening, at least with football or anything else, you can guarantee that there's going to be a certain amount of time played, or even in tennis to a degree, you know, you're going to see at least a couple of sets, but. It's £250 million is what England fans were spending down there. I think you can probably double that in terms of what the Australians will spend as well. So it is a little bit of a hit to the Australian economy. But that's a wider issue. England have got the job done today, and it means they'll salvage some pride, which is what they're after.
Can I just briefly ask? So, you know when you say it doesn't favour the batters, I mean, what, grass grows in the wrong direction?
I was just thinking that.
Too many worms, too few worms, what?
It can be anything. It can be how bumpy it is. It can be how the weather affects it, the heat. And the light even the ball. There's so many variables that affect how a wicket plays.
Yeah.
Now, if you're gung-ho, the way England are at the moment, have been since the end of 2021, start of 2022.
This is the Bazball thing where you just try and hit
expansive
it out the
cricket, just try and wallop it. It's a short-form way of playing cricket. It's to try and appeal to a mass audience, to try and bring new eyes onto the game, and by and large it works. I think it's largely been successful for England, but when it really matters, you're taking on these tough wickets in Australia. England aren't the only team that's struggling in Australia. They are formidable at home. They're not quite as good when they're on the road, but they're the variables you have to put up with. Sometimes you play a football match in a certain part of the country on a certain day of the week, and it's a harder game than if you play in sunshine in London in August. So that's sport. It's like Boxing Day football yesterday. Foreign players, foreign owners complain about having to play football on Boxing Day. They were pleased yesterday because there was hardly any of it in the Premier League, and I think they just have to accept that's part of the endurance test.
Yeah, I was disappointed about the lack of Premier League games yesterday on Boxing Day. Talking of a nice segue onto the ground and sticky wickets, the horse racing yesterday, the King George.
Yes, absolutely. Harry Redknapp, tears of joy for him. Absolutely delighted for him. I put a call into him this morning to see if he'll come on later on, so we're waiting to hear on that. But his horse, the Jukebox Man, who'd only won one race earlier in 2025. It wasn't exactly one of the really fancied horses.
Is it a pretty horse?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's not as pretty. It's prettier than Harry, I would say. He won't mind. He won't mind. But it was a photo finish. It was a Grade 1 race at Kempton. It was a photo finish, so Harry was actually kept waiting to see if it would win, but it was locked in a tie. Well, it looked like a tie with Banbridge, who was the horse who won it last year. And this is what he said afterwards, after scooping £142,375 to come here on King George Day and just run made me proud.
Yeah.
But to have a winner is special. I am so lucky.
I hope the photo finish had Harry Redknapp's horse like this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, we'll maybe hopefully ask him.
King George, such a great race. I remember Corso Star, my favourite ever horse.
Best mate, Desert Orchid.
Denman? Did Denman win the King George?
I didn't see that on the list when I checked, but I can check later on and I'll come back with an update. I'll update you on something that might happen 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Lovely old boy.
Yeah, there's something called Google search. You could
Yeah, exactly.
Aidan is
Aidan.
pretty much Google search, mind you, for sport. Aidan, thank you very much.
Right, time now for... I haven't done one of these in a while. Time now for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date is £85,000. Hayley Sparks has all the details.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the fabulously festive Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what next year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You could find yourself on the adventure of a lifetime or just safe in the knowledge that next year is on us. £85,000 of tax-free cash really could be yours. Go on, give it a go, and Merry Christmas!
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, good luck to you. We'll be getting stuck into the papers next with Claire Muldoon and Duncan Barks, including a, I won't spoil it, but a great story in the, what is this, the Mail?
It's in the Mail, yeah, which is all about celebrations, or no, not celebrations, how did marking.
Commemorations of the likes of George Floyd, etc., at a certain Quango, so government-run, taxpayer-funded body. Yeah, that and more after the break. Here's your top European holiday forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're off to the Eastern Med or Italy over the next few days for a New Year break, it'll be often sunny and dry, but much more unsettled towards the Western Med, particularly across Iberia, with some areas of low pressure bringing in some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds as well, and some mountain snow. Heavy snow on Saturday and into Sunday across the Pyrenees and Andorra. The showers clearing away from Sicily, leaving most of Italy and Greece fine and sunny, but there will be some heavy snow across parts of northern Turkey, otherwise a fine outlook elsewhere.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Hello, welcome back. Joining us to go through what's making the news is journalist Claire Muldoon and the broadcaster Duncan Barks. Good morning, you two.
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
Do you still say Merry Christmas? Or is that...
Yeah. I think we can say Merry Christmas until we start saying Happy New Year.
I think Christmas as a holiday goes until January, doesn't it? Sort of.
That's what I mean. It's just the week. I mean, it's the week through. And of course, if you think about 12th night, which is January the 6th, you know, that is officially, it's the kind of Christmas.
I think Christmas starts to wane when the turkey curry's been eaten. That's what I think. But once the turkey's out of the fridge and you've used it in every conceivable way possible, we're at the end.
Now, I thought we'd start with actually a very sad... This is very sad news, though. This is the sad news of the death in the sea of... well, there were two who haven't been found. They went into the sea. It was the traditional Christmas Day swim, and this happens all over Britain.
It does. We have it tends to happen on Christmas Day, in some places Boxing Day. People converge on their local beaches, bit of shoreline, and they run into the water. And this is a really tragic tale of such an event that took place in Budleigh Salterton, which is in Devon, a bit of Devon I know quite well, just to the east of Exmouth. And the story is about this. It turns out he's a local. It was a local character. He's an antiques dealer who had an antique shop in Budleigh Salterton. His name is Matthew Upham, and he was one of roughly 100 people who gathered on the beach in Budleigh, the annual tradition of running into the water. And it's really sad because it turns out that, as we know, because it would have been reported on GB News over the last couple of days, there was basically a rescue attempt made to look for this guy. He's not yet been found. The emergency services and the lifeboat crews have called off the search. They called it off about 5 o'clock on Christmas Day afternoon. And it really is a kind of warning in some cases, because whilst this should be fun and people are going, well, it's an annual tradition or whatever, there's a very serious issue here, which is these currents can be absolutely lethal. And if you're not used to a certain stretch of coastline, or if you're not a strong swimmer, you can get caught out. And it's been suggested in some of today's papers that this guy, who looks like he's done it most years, got caught by a current.
Also, Claire, just the size of the waves from the footage. I'm not sure if you've seen the footage, but massive waves. I mean, some of the biggest waves I've ever seen in the UK. But people just barrelling headfirst into them. I mean, really underestimating the...
It is a lovely tradition, not only that, but in the beaches of Northern Ireland as well. Up in Portstewart and Portrush, everyone runs into the sea in the morning with their Bailey's coffee and then runs back out. And it's invented this love of dry robes as well.
Oh.
And I think, well, I don't think we should stop the tradition. But equally, it's incredibly sad. And, that this has actually happened.
I think...
I was just saying to Penny off air, actually, it's sort of kind of shows you the fragility of life. One minute you're enjoying Christmas Day, you're going off for an energetic dip in the sea, and the next...
then it can just be taken away.
It can be taken away from you. Can we talk... Duncan, sorry, there's another Duncan story. This is about... we've been teasing it a little bit earlier on, actually. This is about Diana, Princess of Wales, and branded as predatory. This is officials in... actually, why don't you explain this a bit more, because it's actually...
It's an interesting story. So as a result of the country's national archives, this is the Republic of Ireland, documents have been released. And basically, there's some briefing documents about Charles's trip to the Republic. And behind the scenes, it was kind of suggested by the Deputy Press Secretary, Sandy Henny, who told Irish officials that the trip was the best public outing the Prince had had in a very long time. Now, this is all documented, but we also discovered that Sandy Henny was saying, in the kind of like the War of the Waleses, I think they called it back then, Sandy was suggesting that it was Diana who almost had the upper hand because she was a bit more switched on media-wise.
Very savvy.
Very savvy. I mean, some of us are old enough to remember, the pictures of her at the Chelsea Harbour gym and stuff being snapped just by accident. And, of course, you dig a little bit deeper, it was all massively contrived. So, as I say, I don't think this will be a massive surprise to anyone, but it is being suggested that Diana knew how to play the media game.
Do you think Harry's inherited that, Claire?
I think he has, and I think he's married that narrative as well of not only social media, but the way the social media now are portraying the royals. Harry and Meghan have done it. Even yesterday they were saying, "How would you like? What would you prefer your royals to be doing? Eating dim sum in their pyjamas in Montecito, or framing it as this wonderful linear." Family attending the church services at Sandringham, etc., 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 and everyone, putting the magnifying glass up to, the strands of hair from Kate's hair. Are they real? Is she fine? What's been going on? And it's just, come on. We just need to leave. And notwithstanding the King's speech on Christmas Day, that was not for me, shall we say.
How would you describe the speech?
To be fair, Duncan, I haven't actually seen the whole thing all the way through.
Long.
All I have,
it feels long.
All I've heard is, and all I watched was a bit of narrative in terms of, diversity is our strength, and coming from the head of the Church of England, I think is a bit rich.
It was the most watched TV show on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
it was.
4.2 million for the BBC.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it wasn't Mrs Brown's Boys.
Oh, my goodness.
I keep hearing people dunking on Mrs Brown's Boys. What's the problem with Mrs Brown's Boys?
It's not funny.
With Mrs
Not
Brown's
funny.
Boys.
It's not funny. Claire,
Yeah.
I would like you to now delve into the mail if you could.
Right. Well,
because I love this, just because the fact I knew that Claire would sigh quite a lot about this.
it wasn't that. It was when Penny said, just read the first 3 paragraphs, got to the first, got to the second, got to the third. Right, anyone marking a romantic spectrum awareness week? I wonder who that might be. I'll tell you who that will be. The pensions regulator. 225 days of inclusivity, of diversion, of equality, all funded by the Quango, that is, us, the taxpayer. This is ridiculous. Going on from, you know, National Nirvana Day, George Floyd Day.
What is National Nirvana Day?
I don't know.
Celebrating Nirvana?
I don't know if it was the Nirvana or the band. Right?
I mean, I wouldn't mind
I
if it
don't
was the
think
band.
it isn't the band.
It can't
No,
be the
it's
band.
about-
I think it's to do with
something else.
Buddhism.
Yeah, so the death commemorating the death of Buddha to Aromantic Spectrum Awareness Week.
What's that one?
In honour of
Nirvana.
people who do not feel romantic attraction.
That's what aromantic is.
So I'm sorry, this is a place of work. This is a place that we are funding as taxpayers to do work. And I'm sorry, there is no place in that for me, for this diversity, inclusive and equality crap.
Duncan, very briefly, are you commemorating George Floyd's death?
Well, you won't get an argument from me on anything that Claire's just said. I mean, it comes back to one of these typical stories, and Claire nailed it, which is as taxpayers, we pick up the tab for this, and you know, that's not where the focus should be. No question.
I just imagine the diary, though. The diary.
The calendar's completely
the calendar
full.
was just completely full.
What,
You have
365
no time to
days
do
in a
anything.
year, 366 in a leap year, and they've got 225 earmarked for ridiculous days. It's bad enough that for Christians, this day was marked as Christmas Day.
Right.
Claire,
Thank you
Duncan,
both.
thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get your weather update now with Tom Morgan. They will be back.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day though across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain just pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so tending to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle, perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy, dense, freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date. £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with, each month for a whole year. That could be you, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Well, you're absolutely right. Spot on. I couldn't help feeling that perhaps it was actually just a joke, and they were going to come back in 2 years' time and say, we took you all in. It was, in fact, a joke. Now we're going to produce something more serious, because it's absolutely hilarious and ridiculous. Commercial suicide, I described it as.
Well, the individual behind it is no more. What would you like to see from the brand? Presumably not people with asymmetric haircuts in pink dresses with sledgehammers doing precisely zero to do with cars.
Well, again, absolutely. You're spot on. I mean, it's just totally unrelated to cars at all. It wasn't even a car in the advert. Jaguar was built on style, and that brought passion for cars. That's what made them different. I remember many years ago, a Jaguar executive in the States saying to me, people say, I like my Mercedes, but I love my Jaguar. It's all about passion. Style engendered that. That's what we've got to have. We need to see a proper, more traditional, stylish, real Jaguar that can build on the brand and heritage of the past.
OK, Philip Paulson, I'm going to put you on the spot now. If you're in charge of the next Jaguar advert, what would it look like?
As diametrically opposite and different as it possibly could be from what they produced. I suppose, I mean, I live a little in the past, I admit, although I also think I'm hopefully realistic about the current situation and everything, the present. But I'd like to see the heritage shown. Jaguar were not afraid to talk in the past about their heritage, the Le Mans wins back in the 50s, the E-Type in the 60s. This is what added excitement and luster to the brand.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, good morning to you. Britain relies on twice as many foreign doctors as most Western countries.
New statistics show that foreign-trained doctors make up 42% of our medical workforce.
Ministers are being urged to wake up to the over-reliance on foreign medics.
The Conservatives calling on the government to act urgently to train up homegrown doctors and nurses to secure the future of the NHS.
Elsewhere, President Trump's defence secretary has warned of further US strikes against ISIS targets in Nigeria after the group was accused of targeting Christians.
President Zelensky is expected to meet Donald Trump tomorrow in Florida for talks over a Ukraine peace plan.
And the King and Prince William are expected to make separate visits to America in the new year in what's being dubbed a charm offensive aimed at President Trump during the 250th anniversary of American independence.
In other royal news, new released Irish government files reveal that Princess Diana was described by officials there as by far the more predatory and skilled operator in the media battle waged against Prince Charles, who was then, in the 1990s.
And apparently a blow for the high streets, as early indications show footfall for the Boxing Day sales is down as much as 7%, as the full budget impact is expected to hit early in 2026.
What a difference a day makes. England win the fourth Ashes test by 4 wickets inside just 2 days in Melbourne amid fierce criticism of that MCG wicket. And only goal difference keeps Manchester United outside the top 4 after their Boxing Day win over Newcastle at Old Trafford.
Will the sun shine where you are today, or will it be cloudy skies through this weekend? Find out in your full forecast coming up.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Ben Leo.
I'm Penny Smith and this is GB News Breakfast. Ben and I can hardly concentrate because we're all overexcited.
Oh, you believe in aliens as well?
I'm not sure I believe in aliens.
Oh.
No,
Just
as in, no, I tell you what the headline is. So the headline in the Telegraph is Saturn's moon could be hiding alien life. Now, if you're thinking little green...
Sounds pretty good to me.
people, I just think, I hear alien life and I immediately know that we're not talking about human life.
Bacteria or something.
We're talking about bacteria or anything else, but I still find it exciting. It's one of those things that, you know, when things get a bit chaotic down here on Earth and everything looks a bit gloomy or whatever else, and I just look at the stars and whatever, and then you think, there's life out there.
So you do believe in aliens? Well, let's say intelligent life elsewhere.
Intelligent life.
In the
I'm not
universe.
sure about intelligentness. I mean, I do consider trees to be perhaps more intelligent than some people.
Is it not, Aidan, is it not mathematically impossible that there's not other intelligent life in the universe?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Science,
I'll tell you what was interesting, though. My late friend Russell Hargreaves, who was a presenter on a different radio station, said he used to present the show between midnight and 4 a.m. and he said that it was after the football in the evening most weeknights, and you know, between about midnight and maybe 1:45, you get sensible callers ringing in, just reflecting on the football, angry about the team losing, refereeing decision, all the rest of it. And then from about 1 o'clock onwards, you get the phone in. They get quite a few people ringing in, but they all wanted to talk about UFOs.
Yeah.
So those people clearly believe there's intelligent life.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, I believe in God.
Oh, come on. You believe in what? God? Yeah, but why... So I've had this conversation with a friend.
Intelligent life.
Right.
Why can't God... Sorry, it's a bit early for 7 in the morning. Why can't God still be the creator of other alien life?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I haven't dismissed that. Well, as I've been thinking about it for the last hour.
OK, I'm just looking at a picture of a hydrothermal vent at this moment, looking like a massive explosion. It reminds me of those adverts for spots and how it gets right down into the dermis and the epidermis and everything else, and then you see the things come out. And it's just like that. There's this sort of massive, great spout, and, of course, it's these spouts.
A hydrothermal vent sounds like a naff Christmas present.
Oh, yeah, I've been given a hydrothermal vent again. As if I haven't got enough foot baths.
I like a foot bath.
Oh.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's quite
I mean,
nice.
it's not... I wouldn't put it down up there as sort of... I mean, I probably prefer a Jaguar, but... You know.
Right, gbnews.com/your say. Do you like foot baths and do you believe in aliens? Let us know.
Foot baths, aliens, hydrothermal vents, etc., etc.
Right, let's move on, shall we, swiftly. A new report has revealed the UK has twice as many foreign doctors and nurses as most Western countries, with an influx of more than 20,000 foreign doctors each and every year to Britain.
This report comes as medical graduates are struggling to get entry roles into the NHS. Resident doctors citing foreign medics taking limited training places as one of the reasons for the strike which happened before Christmas.
Joining us now is former political advisor Charlie Rowley. Charlie, hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome back. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What's going on here then? So UK doctors going en masse to what? Australia, I guess?
Well, lots of UK doctors who are obviously trained can't get a place to work in the NHS. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they've wanted to do. That costs the taxpayer £160,000 to train an individual who can't get a job. And I think, look, most people would argue, I think, that if you are in need of medical attention, care, A&E, whatever it is, an ambulance, you're not going to worry too much about who the doctor is. You want the treatment. However, when there is a surplus of people who are trained in the UK that can't get those jobs, and we're looking to people overseas that might have to come in, the number of 3 top places, I think, of people coming from abroad are from the Philippines, Nigeria, and I've forgotten what the third one is.
India?
India. And so, you know, there might be language barriers. There might be other issues that cause a bit of a delay in some of the processing, perhaps, of your healthcare. We don't know, but you would obviously, I think most people in the UK would want to know that if there is a place available or if there is a trained British doctor available, they would rather them get the job perhaps than us looking for someone overseas.
Yeah, I mean, we have got a Department of Health and Social Care spokesman saying we hugely value the contribution of doctors and nurses from around the world who've chosen to work in the NHS, but these figures expose the absurd legacy we inherited. A failure to train enough homegrown medical professionals has left us overly reliant on international recruitment. To plug the gaps, we've committed in our 10-year plan to prioritise UK medical graduates to undo the policies introduced by the last government, which opened up competition for jobs to doctors from around the world. So,
I guess the other thing, Charlie, apparently I found out this morning that if you qualify as a doctor here in the UK and you go abroad, you don't then need to pay your student loan. Did you know about that? I mean, that in itself is a massive...
You don't need to pay it back. You don't need to ever pay it back.
Yeah.
And, well, presumably unless you come back to Britain to work, in which I don't know. That's very... Does that seem...
Well, I don't know enough about the detail about that, but I've no doubt that you're right, Ben, as ever. But I think, look, you know, the point is, if you are... Well, we want more people to be in our medical profession. We want people to be looking to go into, particularly, not just A&E or within the NHS or anything like that, or into hospitals. You know, we have a massive problem with adult social care, for example. We want people to be carers. We need more midwives. We need more people that are paramedics and on the frontline service as well as everything else. So to make it as easy as possible, and I do think in the long term, actually, people are sympathetic to the view that doctors should be paid more. But I think asking for the kind of pay rises that particularly the resident doctors have asked for, when the rest of the NHS, who are also incredibly hard-working, have settled, we shouldn't just have one group of people that are continuing to strike and increase those waiting lists that we all care so much about.
Yeah, and also it's about lies, damn lies and statistics. The statistics that they choose to show that they've suffered more than others. Can we also talk about this piece? It's on the front page of the Weekend today. Gap year soldiers will be trained to fight in war zones under new UK Army scheme.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story because I think there's been a whole decade. I was thinking of this since David Cameron, you know, tried to draft up the sort of, you know, the NCS, the National Citizenship Service, which was about making sure that young people felt that they could commit to something, that they could give something back to their community, that it was a bit more, maybe, without saying it, it was the attempt to sort of have a bit more pride in your country, perhaps, by giving something back. And not at the time, it would have been just wanting to audition maybe for the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or to become some sort of megastar elsewhere. It was about actually doing something productive with your time. Fast forward 14 years, I mean, the last Tory manifesto last year had national service as part of it, a one-year programme that would actually allow 16 to 18-year-olds to actually commit, but it was...
For everybody?
Forced. Well, that's when the headline was announced, which I think a lot of people thought was quite good. Some people haven't. But then, you know, the devil's in the detail. It was half voluntary, half for people who wanted to sort of do it. Then they could go on to be... And so it was all a bit confusing. Now it's being picked up again by this government. But I think ultimately we should be encouraging people if they want to, or there should be a programme which just tries to reconnect, I think, where there might have been. And I'm not young anymore, you know, 35. There's a whole generation of...
Well, leave off, I'm 36.
Well, you know, but you know, the young people...
I'm 37.
young people, you know, young people today, you know, they do get a lot of, you know, criticism, but there is so many more challenges today, like social media, that none of us really experienced when we were kids, where people do feel, I think, slightly more withdrawn from society. So how do you get those people back involved in thinking about the things that we were probably all taught and thought about, which is giving something back to your community?
I tell you what, I'd have quite enjoyed this. I did an outward bound course, and that was a lot of abseiling down cliffs, and actually rock climbing, not enjoyable, but canoeing and all sorts of other things. And for some reason, I'm sure it isn't the same, but this feels like something like that, where you just get fit and you're with people.
Just
and
discipline as well, waking up at a proper time.
And waking up regularly and perhaps not having your phone and therefore just feeling well.
I think it should be forced. They should be forced national service too. Like, honestly, I'm not even joking. You know, getting young kids up at a decent hour, discipline, commitment, learning simple trades, engineering.
Yeah. We're just about to talk to Robert Fox about other matters, about things going on in Nigeria and Ukraine, and he is shaking his head and saying, what, Robert? No.
Won't work.
Thank you.
What, forced national conscription?
Yep.
Why not?
Because we've got the post-COVID generation who are withdrawn, as Charlie was saying.
That's why we need it.
Riven with anxiety. The government will not spend the money required.
But Robert, that's why we need it.
Yeah,
we need to riddle
but
the anxiety.
The army and the services have quite rightly said things like the foundation schools, which have been a huge success, like Harrogate, but they won't go near it. And this is the thing. The relationship between the forces and the community is absolutely crucial, as you've been saying. I don't think, particularly with the ethos of this government, particularly, but politicians in general, Westminster do not like this stuff and are not prepared to say, come on, sunshine or sunshiners, have a go at this, as you say. You might enjoy it. It might help you on your way. They're obsessed with schemes that have been brilliant in countries like Norway, where you can go to become a sort of apprentice, a soldier or whatever, and you get a degree and a certificate. It's well worth it. And then they want to kick them out. They all want to stay.
That's the way to do it. And this is partially based on something that's happened in Australia. I tell you what, Charlie, we're going to say thank you very much to you, Charlie Rowley, former political advisor, and we will move on then, Robert, to you, and talking about, well, there's two things. There's the ISIS strikes in Africa, America being involved in that, at the request of the Nigerian government, or certainly there was a conversation.
There has been a conversation, quite a serious conversation. There have been conversations back in Washington, way back, I think, in the late autumn, and they know about it. For obvious reasons, because of the split between faiths, it's roughly about 50% Muslim, 43% Christian, and the other is local faiths and practices, if I can put it like that. The Nigerian government, I think for understandable reasons, don't like this being painted as something just to defend the Christians. They're saying that we are faced with the criminality of the fundamentalist movements and splinters, and they splinter and splinter and splinter across the piece. But Pete Hegseth, now the Secretary of State for War, as they call it, in America, said, expect more to come.
Yeah, and it was the Trump administration who, was it this week or last week, who gave an ultimatum to the Nigerian government saying, pretty much, protect these Christians, or what did they threaten them with? Can you recall?
I think they would threaten them with sanctions or unilateral action, which we've seen, but they certainly consulted. The president of Nigeria has somewhat pushed back about this, but they do seem to be reconciled as more to come. They've got those ships with the Tomahawk missiles in the Gulf of, or the Bight of Benin. I think it's probably quite a little in terms of the problem, very, very late indeed, because there is this insurgent, very loosely connected movement from Sudan and the Red Sea almost going right across. And they see the sub-Saharan Africa drifting into its own very, very violent ways.
Well, I guess viewers might say, no matter the numbers of Christians, at least somebody somewhere in the West is now sticking up for Christians who have been arguably persecuted.
Yeah, and it's a very, very potent political factor too, as it is in Europe. As we
definitely rally the base.
So there are going to be more of those, more strikes?
I think so. They won't be random, because I think the aerial surveillance by the Americans is extremely good, pinpoint accurate. It's not just satellites. They've been flying manned aircraft flights, and so they're looking at this region. But it is very violent from Niger going through east. And the big factor has been, which you hear from all sides, particularly real old British Foreign Office hands, is that the French going away. This was part of La Francophonie, the area that spoke French, but Mali, all these other countries, whether Cameroon, Chad, even the French have just gone now. And that's...
Well, they were there until, I think, even last year.
Yeah, in small numbers, but they saw it as a security interest, and they just...
Yeah.
It's not like the French to wave the white flag.
Yeah, but
money.
As
money again, defence money. They're as stretched as UK is.
And Ben was saying a bit earlier on about the Chinese, the Belt and Belt scenario where they've gone in to help.
It's absolutely clear what they're there for.
Well, they claim it's to help.
And they're dominant.
They've done other things. Just very briefly, Zelensky saying the peace plan is 90% ready ahead of talks. This is talks with President Trump tomorrow.
Well, I quoted the hard man who has Putin's ear, Mr. Uchikov. I quote now Mr. Sergei Rybakov, the Deputy Foreign Minister, more or less has said on Christmas Eve, Catholic Christmas Eve, no chance. A deal was done in Alaska, I didn't hear that, where we gave the ultimatum, these are our terms for redesigning the whole of defence and security architecture for Europe. So there's a funny old mood going off in the Kremlin right now. So whatever Mr. Trump and Mr. Zelensky may decide, I think it's a no-deal deal, and it will go on.
So
but
it's war of attrition grind.
And it's a war of unreal aspirations and fantasies on all sides.
Robert, sorry to interject. You mentioned earlier that Russia weren't winning the war. If that was the case and they're losing the war, why aren't they keen to get an off-ramp for this? And also, with that in mind, we've been hearing for months and months about how our kids are going to need to be forced to fight in the trenches of the Donbass. So if Russia are losing the war, why are people having those kind of...
You've asked me 3 questions. Can I go and lie down in a dark room? Which one? They're not winning it enough.
So why are we hearing conversations about our kids being signed up for conscription fighting in the Donbass?
They're not going to be fighting in the Donbass. Whoever's implied that is absolute nonsense. There are 3 things in the middle of that argument. First of all, will you have a deal? How do you monitor the deal? Would the monitoring the deal involve Western troops like our kids? No, absolutely not at all, whatever's going to happen. Russia is now on a very crude mission just to batter the civilian population by air attacks, which are enormous. There are hundreds of drones, missiles, but hundreds of drones particularly. Back to where Penny was, completely dependent on China.
Yeah.
They can't do the drones in mass unless they have the Chinese bits in them. Yeah.
Another attack last night in Kyiv overnight, of course.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you very much. Defence Editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Appreciate it.
Time is 18 minutes past 7. Time for your weather with Tom Morgan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day though across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain and drizzle pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tending to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now, the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so turning to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle, perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy dense freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures of around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hey, It's time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. It is a massive £85,000. Here are the details.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the fabulously festive Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what next year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You could find yourself on the adventure of a lifetime or just safe in the knowledge that next year is on us. £85,000 of tax-free cash really could be yours. Go on, give it a go, and Merry Christmas!
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, do you know what? It was so bitterly cold yesterday that wouldn't it have been nice if we had a bit of snow there to actually sort of set it all up?
That would have topped it off.
Yeah.
That would have certainly topped it off. Stick with us. Aidan McGee is here next to go through all the sports, including a flurry of Premier League games today. Arsenal hoping to keep top spot in the Premier League, fingers crossed. And also British #1 Jack Draper will be missing the Aussie Open in the tennis next month. Back in the team.
Yeah.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here to GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Sport! Oh, I don't know why I said it like that. Sport, it's Aidan. And
Good to see you as well. No, listen...
Can I just say, first of all, that is the whitest shirt I think I've ever seen. Is it
Really?
a Christmas present?
No, not at all. No, I got it in 2023.
How come it's so white?
I don't know. Well, it's meant to be white, isn't it? It's probably been treated properly.
I was meant to be wearing a white shirt this morning, wasn't I, Penny?
Yes, he was. What happened to that is he got the steamer out, steamed it and put stuff all over it. It looked like it had been splattered by a coffee pot.
There's a steamer here at GB News Towers, little secret, where sometimes it just splurts out oil over things. And
It's not oil, it's just grub.
Whatever. I had a financial dispute about 6 months ago with my cleaner. The lady did all my washing, so this is, I have to say, this isn't as ironed as or pressed quite as well as it could be.
Oh, for goodness sake, I'm sorry.
That's why the cardigan covers it up.
Iron it yourself, do it yourself. Right, Aidan, tell us about sport.
Man United did some ironing out yesterday, and that was against Newcastle United. They won by a goal to nil. It puts them right on the edge of the top four now. Same points as Chelsea, just goal difference keeping them outside that. Good turnaround for United, you'd have to say. Lots of criticism this season, even more last season. Slight formation change as well, system change, and it seems to be working for now for the manager. Well done to them. But only one match in the Premier League yesterday, and I thought that was disappointing. We did speak about it at length, didn't we, Penny, at various points about
Did we? Which one was it?
Just about the Premier League not having only having one fixture on the Boxing Day.
Fixture.
And
for people who like sport.
Seven matches today in the Premier League. But I drove past Wimbledon's ground yesterday, and there was a full programme in Championship, League One, League Two, and the National League. Every game was played. There was no games travelled over 2 days. Go on, Ben.
So why is that, Aidan? So Boxing Day, I love more than Christmas Day because you have all the Premier League games, you have the racing, you've got the King George, and yesterday I was thoroughly disappointed. There was one Premier... Why is that?
Viewing numbers are down just year on year in the Premier League, which has never happened before. On TV, yeah.
Why?
The product isn't as good as it was. People don't find it as the rule changes and just the VAR, they just find it a little bit of a turn-off. So if you then remove football from its traditional slot on Boxing Day, and it's been that way since the 60s. In fact, even before, we used to play on Christmas Day. Back in there, we used to. When I was a kid, we watch a game on the Boxing Day and on the 27th. I'd go to both, and so if you remove it from a traditional slot that works, and the Premier League said it's too near a Saturday this year, we have to give 60 hours rest between matches, but. If you remove it, something else will eventually fill that void. We saw the coverage that the King George VI race got yesterday. Yes, it's a big event anyway, but the fact that Harry won it, we've got the Ashes as well, stepping into the breach. If you remove yourself out of that, something else will take its place, and the football has to be really careful of that because they've had it their own way for too long, and I think they missed a trick yesterday. I drove past Wimbledon yesterday, and that's a League Two match, also a League One match, and they played Stevenage, not exactly a mouth-watering tie or match, but it was close to capacity, that stadium yesterday. 8,500 people made their way to that. We saw them walking over the bridge from Wimbledon Park.
People still want to go and watch football.
Without doubt, they want to get out of the house. And I think if the Premier League isn't around, then be careful, because if the numbers are down, do everything you can to consolidate what you've already got while trying to attract that audience back. That's a key rule of business, and the Premier League needs to stop being complacent, because I think they were really missed yesterday. And as I say, there are matches today, 7 matches in total. We've got one as well tomorrow. I must touch on John Robertson, the player who died 2 days ago. Nottingham Forest, the club he won 2 European Cups with, have confirmed that they would be naming a stand at the City Ground to honour a great hero, John Robertson, who died at the age of 72 this week. They're revamping their stadium at the City Ground, a ground you know quite well, I think, Penny, over the next...
I do.
Over the next few days, and next few years. They're revamping it, and I think that's when they'll do it properly and rename it. And just if we got time as well, Jack Draper, British #1 tennis player, out of the Australian Open with an arm injury. I will allow him to explain that himself.
When's the... Unfortunately, me and my team have decided not to head out to Australia this year. It's a really, really tough decision, as obviously Australia being a Grand Slam, it's one of the biggest tournaments in our sport. However, I've had this injury for a long time. I'm at the very, very end stages of the process, and to step back on court into best-of-5 set tennis so soon just doesn't seem like the smart decision right now for me and my tennis.
Wrong with his arm?
It's a long-standing injury. I mean, he's only played one match since Wimbledon, but he's been beset by a few injuries, and that's what I worry about because he's, 24, 25 now. He should be approaching his peak. He got to the semi-final of the US Open in 2024.
But you don't know what kind of arm injury it is, because it could be anything from shoulder, elbow...
Tennis elbow.
Oh, tennis elbow is so bad.
Did you play tennis, you two?
I grew up playing tennis.
I love playing tennis.
Your son plays tennis, doesn't he?
My son plays tennis.
We were watching him this morning in makeup.
I was showing off his videos.
Good forehand.
Yeah.
Really?
He's maybe on course for county. He's only 6. He's only young.
Really?
Good. But the thing is, he doesn't love it. He's very good, but he doesn't love it like he loves Formula 1.
I loved playing squash, and I used to play leagues and ladders, and I loved playing squash. And then I changed to tennis because hardly anybody in the south seemed to play squash, it seemed to me. And so I learnt how to play tennis. And of course, that was when I got tennis elbow because, of course, I was doing squash flicks and all the rest of it with a heavy racket.
You can make that mistake when you go from table tennis to tennis as well. It's the wrist, isn't it?
Paddle's a big one now. You play paddle?
Paddle? No, I haven't yet.
I played it in the summer. I was hoping it would attract a new generation of players, but when I discovered it was £48 for an hour.
Whoa!
Wow.
That is a lot. Yeah.
Doesn't do anyone any favours.
Thanks, Aidan. Arsenal, Brighton. Hopefully Arsenal cement their place at the top of the league. Just saying.
Just
putting the positive energy out there.
I get this sort of feeling that you're actually a supporter of Arsenal. Weird, that.
Wow.
Now, we're talking about pocket money in a short while. Should children get pocket money? Coming up.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then. Yeah, as I and say, now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hello, welcome back to GB News Breakfast with Ben and Penny.
Yeah, new figures from money app Go Henry show that children have had inflation-busting pocket money pay rises this year. Can you believe that? £10.75 a week, which is an increase of around 8% from last year's figures. So that's the good thing about children, is they learn about percentages.
Yeah, it's the highest earning chore among savers this year was looking after plants. That's a good one.
Yeah, I didn't know
Horticulture,
that was a thing.
with being good and practising music in second and third place.
But should children be getting pocket money at all? Is it a good opportunity to teach children valuable life skills, or does it cause more harm than good?
Joining us now is the blogger Lucy Baker. Lucy, good morning. Thanks for your company. Come on then, good idea, bad idea, and also I guess it depends on the age of the children, right?
Yes. Well, I'm a bit anti pocket money, I have to say. I've got 3 kids, just to sort of paint the picture for you. So one is 15, one is 13, and one is 6. So a bit of an age range there. And pocket money in my house causes big arguments. You can imagine trying to get that sort of amount right to start with. You know, what does the 15-year-old get? What does the 6-year-old get? Not to mention, you know, when I was younger, I'd get like a £5 note or something. And now I'm sort of wiring money across the internet to make sure that I'm on top of the kids' pocket money. And when they kind of find out what each other have got, there's some jealousy there. So it's really hard to get that right. So what is the right amount? I think you mentioned £10 something or other per week is an average.
That's an average, yes. That was an average. Was it a week? Hold on a second. Let me just...
That's 40 quid a month. That's absurd.
That is quite a lot.
I actually did some reading earlier, and it's up to £15 a week for some teenagers, which is 60 quid a month, like you say. But one thing to note here as well is most teenagers have mobile phones. And I think it's really important because I pay, or me and my husband pay for my kids' mobile phones. So factor that in, you know, 20 quid a month, whatever that is. And then the expectation of...
Well, that's pretty much £10.75 a week. So maybe that's what people are thinking of. I tell you what, Lucy, so when I was growing up, obviously we're talking about 1836, you know, Queen Victoria about to be on the throne, we got a certain amount of money per year that we were. So, in other words, you just times it by whatever year, however old you were, and that's how much money you got. And you were expected to do chores, all chores got done, and then you were allowed to go and do other things. So, you know, I went and sang in a choir, for example, for weddings, got money for that. I rang the bells. I did all sorts of things for, you know, essentially pretty much. I had a bicycle and off I went and got more money. That's how you got extra.
How old were you, sorry?
Well, I was 12 when I started doing choir singing and ringing the bells, which brought in money for weddings and stuff. But yes, exactly.
Lucy,
it was easier.
How much do you pay your eldest, and how much do you pay the 6-year-old?
Oh, are you allowed to say?
Oh, yeah, I will say. Well, the 6-year-old doesn't get pocket money at the moment. Yeah. Occasionally, he'll do some chores and get some money if he wants to save up for some football stickers or whatever that is. The 15-year-old... I have to say, the money kind of goes out a bit more sporadically than that. If she's saving up or wanting to have something, we work towards those goals, so she doesn't get a set amount. But weirdly, and I don't know why this has happened, 13-year-old gets a wired amount each month, and she's a really good saver, so she likes saving up for big amounts, for big things. But I have to say, the reason that's happened is because I had a problem with my bank connecting to the pocket money account. So if it doesn't top up correctly, you sort of fall out of that system. And it was a problem on my side. So I think it's a parenting, I'm not going to say parenting fail because I don't believe in those. But, you know, if you're not up to date with technology and you're not kind of wiring that money over every single month, your kids miss out. So I think we go back to basics. Like Penny said, let's go back to earning chores, starting pocket money around sort of 11 or 12. But yeah, like I said before, the mobile phone thing, you know, we're paying for these mobile phones. Kids don't really realise that that's happening as well. So I think we need to make a big issue of that and make them realise how fortunate they are.
Well, I think it's not even just about fortunate, because, as I said, when I was growing up, we all had this amount of money. We all knew how much everybody had. And what was good was that it taught you the value of money because, of course, as you just said, Lucy, it's about saving. You save up, and then if you splurged it all on one big thing, for example, in my case, shoes usually, if you splurged it all in one great big go, and then somebody asked you to go and do something, and Mum and Dad would just say, well, have you got money to go and do that? And I'd say no, and they'd go, well, it's in your hands then, isn't it? And it does teach you the value of money. You learn all sorts of things, like even just rudimentary maths, compound interest, because, of course, you could always borrow money from your siblings, but then compound interest suddenly was, I mean, it was a nightmare. I think the maths might have been wrong, but, you know, who knows?
Bargain hunting as well.
Exactly.
I think some of these online cards, though, you mentioned Go Henry earlier, they do have really good systems built in where you can, you get your pocket money, you can kind of sift some of that off and save it, and you have a savings account that you can't access straight away. So they are trying to teach kids how to use money, but it doesn't feel as real as it used to, like you say. You know, it's not an amount in your pocket. It's not pocket money, is it? It's like phone money. It's mysterious money. So I think the idea behind pocket money has changed massively, and it's much more, I want to use the word absent, but I don't sort of mean that really. But, you know, there's no exchange involved. Like, I'm not really giving my kids any pocket money. I'm sort of wiring money across the internet, which I think can be a mistake because you do not have the value there, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Lucy, thanks very much. Appreciate your company. I never got pocket money. I did my own laundry. I remember taking black bags of laundry down the laundrette.
Tiny
sorry
violin,
for me, yeah.
tiny violin.
gbnews.com/you'll say. Colin said yes to pocket money if earned. Chores around the house and garden. Yeah, I mean, goes without saying.
Yeah.
And Geramandi, good morning. You've said yes, pocket money teaches children the value of money and how to budget. Having chores to do at home and getting their pocket money instills a sense of pride and achievement. Yeah. Well, I think that's the general consensus.
Yeah, children, put them to use. As my sister said, she said the first thing you do, teach them to make a cup of tea.
Or try and live your dreams through them, as my mother tells me. She goes, you can't try and live your tennis dreams through your child, so I'll give it a good crack.
Still to come, it's bar humbug for the BBC after the broadcaster suffered the worst year for Christmas ratings yet.
Yeah, we'll tell you more about that and more in the papers next with Claire Muldoon. There they are, Big Wave and Duncan Barks.
Oh, first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're off to the Eastern Med or Italy over the next few days for a New Year break, it'll be often sunny and dry, but much more unsettled towards the Western Med, particularly across Iberia, with some areas of low pressure bringing in some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds as well, and some mountain snow. Heavy snow on Saturday and into Sunday across the Pyrenees and Andorra. The showers clearing away from Sicily, leaving most of Italy and Greece fine and sunny, but there will be some heavy snow across parts of northern Turkey, otherwise a fine outlook elsewhere.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to GB News Breakfast. Claire Muldoon and Duncan Barks join us now to go through the papers. Good morning, welcome back.
Good morning.
Hello. Who wants to go first, Claire?
Yep, let's start with the BBC suffering the worst Christmas ratings ever. And I fear this is a death knell on the way the BBC is being funded at the moment, to be fair, because all the Christmas specials, Amandaland, which I did watch, which was good.
Very funny.
It was very funny.
The end was very good.
Mrs Brown's Boys, why on earth is that even still being commissioned?
It was.
Yep, a brand new Christmas special. That was out. Two Doors Down Christmas special. Being Scottish, it is so close to my heart. It is really worth it. However, I do think these figures show that the BBC, and indeed linear broadcasting, is coming to the end of its tether. And with that, with the 2 years left on the BBC Charter up until the 31st of December 2027, I think a new funding model has to be made for the BBC, because I still firmly believe there's definitely a place for a British broadcaster in this country. And I hope that it does continue to be the BBC as it is.
Do you not think the problem, though, Claire, is all of the offerings on the BBC?
Yeah.
And don't forget that, you know, although we're talking about linear broadcasting, you know, many of us go onto a website or the app or whatever, and we watch these things, and we'll still be watching these things, Christmas specials, in 2 weeks' time. But the other thing is, all of them felt kind of like they'd been there forever. And it's not like the Morecambe and Wise show, which was, you know, there were exciting
fun,
guests
innovative.
and silly and fun and funny.
There's no events anymore.
But it's not just events, it's events, and it's about properly funny family
Only Fools
stuff.
and Horses was a classic.
All of those things.
Even Fawlty Towers.
Yeah.
But what the BBC has got is the iPlayer, which is our thing to go for, which is wonderful. And we mustn't forget also that BBC Radio, all of those channels there, the Archers.
The Archers.
It's all
they're on the road. Anybody who's an Archers fan, they're going on the road. Everything
so it's
seems
all
to be
under
going
the
on road.
umbrella of the funding of the BBC, which we really need to look at. And I think as a British Broadcasting Corporation, we need to have our voice heard. And if the voice at the moment is being heard of not paying your licence fee, which I'll tell you now, Gen Z's moving forward aren't going to see that value, because they're streaming for Netflix, streaming for Paramount and all the other streaming giants out there, and they can get things very quickly on their fingertips.
300,000 extra non-licensed fee payers last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Claire's got kids, I've got a child as well. They won't wear paying the licence fee, right? It's a completely different mindset and mentality. A subscription service maybe, and then you have to stand on your own 2 feet, and actually as a brand, people want to go, yeah, I will subscribe to you because you offer this or you offer that or whatever. But the idea of a licence fee increasingly is for the birds.
Also, by the way, so I'm going to use this to have a little rant about the BBC.
Yeah.
Watching BBC News yesterday, reporting on the US strikes in Nigeria, totally one-sided. I'll say it again, they've banged on for years and undenied about a genocide in Gaza, quote-unquote. And yet, yesterday, when the Trump administration calls it a genocide of Christians across Africa, they pour absolute scorn over it, bang on about Muslims being killed as well. Just total poo-pooing the Trump administration, which they wouldn't do with anyone else. total Trump derangement
Which
syndrome.
I think, forensically, I think the BBC has to be held to account for these issues.
Yep.
And indeed, the Panorama debacle over Trump is just the tip of an iceberg, really.
Particularly because they didn't need to.
They really did not
They
need
could
to
have
do
just
that.
done a wipe. We've been showing, for example, pictures of Nigel Farage at the Hunt yesterday.
Yeah.
You could tell that it was clipped because of the fact that they do a slight wipe. It's not.
But on that Panorama case, there was an internal investigation that found that nothing wrong had been done. And it's this unconscious, well, there is bias at the
Can you
BBC,
imagine
but
if-
unconscious bias as well.
Yeah, and can we all imagine if we all marked our own homework?
Exactly
I'd have got A plus all the time. Duncan, if
Yes.
we could talk about Britain's loneliest sheep. Do we remember this sheep? The really, really, really matted, hairy sheep. I say hairy, woolly.
Let me tell you the story about Fiona, because that's her name, Fiona,
I love the
who is Britain's loneliest sheep. But there's good news. She's no longer lonely.
Just remind us of where she was. This was in
This was at the base of a cliff on the Cromarty Firth in northeast Scotland. She had plenty of food, but no friends, no chums, no one to mate with.
No one.
But she has been rescued, and now she's found her flock and is expecting lambs in the spring. It's a great news story, and Fiona's very happy.
It's not a news story, it's a great news story.
Some might say it's a bit of a woolly story.
So who was the lucky sheep?
Well,
who
that's the thing. We
hooked
don't
up with
even
her?
know what she's been impregnated with or by. It's going to be really
a little bit. I
interesting.
mean, we're assuming it's another sheep anyway. I've looked at a picture of Fiona,
Yeah.
who's now, of course, shorn of her woolliness.
Yeah.
And she looks as pleased as a sheep can look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to have her own little set of lambs, completely raised by her.
I know.
Whatever happened to what was the sheep called who was cloned?
Dolly.
Is she still
Yeah.
kicking around, or?
No, I don't
No
think
idea.
so. No, I don't think so. Anyway, so the sheep. But we've only got a short amount of time. Have we got a very brief story that you can do there?
Very good news story about an 8-year-old from Essex. This is Ongar in Essex, and the little girl's name is Ula Sams, who's been making honey, consequently, and has raised £2,000 for her local hospice. So well done.
beekeeper then,
Yeah,
isn't
she's
Beekeeper.
aged 8.
I agree. I was just thinking, Claire, my goodness, and she's there in the old bee.
She
How
is.
industrious is that?
Look at that.
I
Isn't that
know.
fantastic?
Isn't that just...
Yeah.
And she makes £2,000 and gave it to hospice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well done.
from her honey.
Well done, her.
Exactly, and it goes to show there is still a lot of loveliness.
That's how you get pocket money.
It is how you
And then
get
you give it to a hospice, because that's the right thing to do.
Industrious.
Claire and Duncan, thank you very much. It's time for an update on your weather now with Tom Morgan.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day though across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain just pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so tending to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy dense freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Yeah, so when I was 5 years old, one of my family members, friends, was looking after me one day, like babysitting me. And then on that day, it was a well-trusted friend of our family, was babysitting me and took me upstairs and he raped and abused me. So from then on, I've suffered and suffered. One of the things that he did say to me was that he would kill me or hurt me in my sleep. So ever since then, I've always suffered with PTSD, night terrors. It never goes away.
It took 20 years for you to face
20 years, yeah, to ever come out about what had ever happened to me. My parents didn't know, I didn't tell them anything.
Because a lot of men in your position, a lot of boys in position, they'd rather just take the burden of shame on. That comes at a great, can come at a great cost.
Yeah, lots of friends and family. And I was just scared to tell him, because obviously as well, if I did ever say anything about it, he was going to come and get me. So I managed to find an organisation which is charity run called Arch Teesside, which is near where I live. And I went to go see them. And my therapy at the time, the guy was called Dave Taylor. And he was a big guy, full of tattoos. And, when you see somebody, you think, how am I going to open up to somebody of this man, And I hit it off, straight away. And I've always told him, this is what I love doing. I love going to the gym. I want to step on stage by the time I'm 40. And then that's what I went and did.
And look at you then.
I mean, what modelling shots, yeah.
You said in your book there, hold your book up, people want to get a copy of this book. Tell them what it's called, mate.
Buy the book.
What's the book called, mate? Tell them.
It's called Breaking the Silence, A Champion's Journey.
And this is it. And your message that you say, if you help one other person out there to channel their pain into purpose, mission accomplished, mate.
GB News, the People's Channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Hello, very good morning to you. Britain relies on twice as many foreign doctors as most Western countries.
New statistics show that foreign-trained doctors make up 42% of the UK's medical workforce.
Ministers are now being urged to wake up to the over-reliance on foreign medics.
The Conservatives are calling on the government to act to train up homegrown doctors and nurses to secure the future of the NHS.
Elsewhere, President Trump's Secretary of War has warned of further US strikes against ISIS targets in Nigeria. That's after the group was accused of targeting Christians.
Meanwhile, President Zelensky is to meet Donald Trump tomorrow in Florida for talks over a peace plan for Ukraine.
The King and Prince William expected to make separate visits to America in the new year in what's being dubbed a charm offensive aimed at President Trump during the 250th anniversary of American independence.
In other royal news, newly released Irish government files have revealed that Princess Diana was described by officials as by far the more predatory and skilled operator in the media battle that she waged against Prince Charles in the 1990s.
And a blow for the high street, as early indications show footfall for the Boxing Day sales is down as much as 7%. That's as the full budget impact is expected to hit in early 2026.
England have won the fourth Ashes Test by 4 wickets inside just 2 days in Melbourne. It means a first Test win in Australia for 15 years. There are 7 Premier League games today with Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool all in action. And Luke Littler takes centre stage at the Ali Pali in the darts tonight.
Will the sun shine where you are today, or will it be cloudy skies through this weekend? Find out in your full forecast coming up.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for your company. It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ben Leo.
I'm Penny Smith. This is GB News Breakfast. When we talk about the fact that the Boxing Day sales didn't go particularly well, I went out yesterday and my favourite coffee shop was closed, which meant that I had to trail around and have a very, very dull coffee. There is such a thing as a bad coffee.
Yeah, I know.
You know those sort of coffees where you get the jitters afterwards, but the taste was absolutely deeply unpleasant.
I'll take whatever I can get.
Do you? Oh, you're one of those, right? Yeah.
In general,
any caffeine, in general, anything.
Yeah.
Not just coffee.
Yeah, but the thing is, you now spend a lot of time in America, and frankly, they've got terrible coffee, terrible tea.
No, their coffee's great.
Oh, their coffee is awful.
Great.
No, do you know what? I once went to a coffee farm in Colombia, and they were saying, where do you think we send the rubbish coffee? And it was America. So sorry, yeah. And mind you, that was quite a long time ago that went there. Anyway, all I was going to say was the coffee shop was closed, and then that stopped me going for a ramble around the shops because something else was closed. I can't remember. M&S was closed, and I just thought, oh.
Next was closed yesterday. Normally, you would go down on Boxing Day sales at Next, get a shirt or something.
You get emails about 48 hours before, so you can buy anything you want online.
I don't like buying things online. It's too boring. You've got to buy them in a couple of sizes, then you've got to go and trail around and go and sort of like you try them on, and sometimes you end up thinking you can't be bothered to send them back, so you keep them.
I find that when you go into the shops, most of the time they haven't got the sizes anyway, or they haven't got the clothes that you want. It's almost like a showroom these days. Some of these shops, they showcase a certain size in a certain garment, knowing that they probably haven't got that, and that you can just buy it online when you get home. That's the way it's going.
Which shops are you going to?
Anyway,
I like the shop. I like going along. I like going along and feeling the fabrics.
Yes.
And touching the objects and being told not to touch the objects.
Yeah.
Can you move away, madam? Sorry, you're bothering the staff.
As long as there's good coffee.
Yeah,
that's what we've learned.
Yeah, let's build that on it.
So what was the story? It was the footfall is up on...
No, the footfall is down. Footfall is down, that's the whole point.
Also, parking's a nightmare. You can't park anywhere. If you live
exactly.
I live near Brighton. They hate motorists. It's about 20 quid an hour to park in the Lanes car park, the most expensive in Britain.
I did an analysis maybe 10 years ago. They made £22 million a year then. Brighton Council in parking revenue. It's disgraceful.
Take the bus.
Right.
Now,
when they run.
Sorry. I like a bus. What can I say? Sit on the bus, happily reading my copy of the week.
Good for the kids. OK, let's move on. Reports has revealed that the UK has twice as many foreign doctors and nurses as most Western countries, with an influx of more than 20,000 foreign doctors each and every year to Britain.
Now, this report comes as UK medical graduates struggle to secure entry roles into the NHS, with resident doctors citing foreign medics taking limited training places as one of the reasons that there was that strike before Christmas.
Former political advisor Charlie Rowley joins me now. Charlie, welcome back. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry
What's
Christmas.
going on here? Why can we never do anything properly? Twice the amount of Western countries.
Well, you're absolutely right. And look, I think there was a time up until 2019 where there was stipulation in place that you should look to appoint people who are trained and homegrown in the UK for those jobs. That was lifted under a particular time, probably during a pandemic where we needed as many people as possible.
That was under the Tories, under, as we know, Boris Johnson.
Exactly. And now it's obviously got to a point where I think it's about 1 in 4 people who are qualified as a doctor, wanting to work in the NHS, can't get a job because that position has been filled by someone coming from overseas. And I think, look, you know, people at home will sympathise when you keep hearing about the backlogs in the NHS, when you keep hearing about the waiting lists that need to come down. People will be upping up, and knowing at the same time the amount of money that is going into the NHS, people want to know why on earth are these people who are qualified, want to train to work in the NHS, are clearly now just, sitting at home or having to do alternative work because
or going to Australia.
Or going abroad.
£160,000 is what it costs to train up a medic. 7 years training, isn't it? I think so.
It can be, yes, absolutely, yes, yeah. But just as you were saying there, I mean, some of these jobs, you know, in the NHS are entry level. Some will be up to the junior doctor level, now resident doctors who go on to become consultants. But we seem to have, you're absolutely right, Ben, a problem in the NHS that's gone on for far too long, over too many years, where we're not recruiting UK nationals who are trained.
The problem is there's not a space, so they can only get the job if there is a job vacant, which means that somebody would have to leave that job. Can we move on to other stories which are on the papers, in the papers today? Daily Express front page, criminals out for Christmas after early release.
Well, you're right. Again, you know, we're talking about the NHS waiting list. There's also, which is a problem, we're now talking, as we've heard throughout the year, overcrowded prisons where there's an early prisoner release. Now, the Labour government, when they came in, that was one of the first things that they did. They were criticised heavily for that. They said they wouldn't have to do it again. They've had to do it again. But this story is just about over Christmas, where there were a number of criminals that were let out over Christmas to spend time at home with their families. Not just those that might be earmarked for the early release scheme, which is serving a sentence under 2 years, but some that are banged up for over 14 years. These people should not be allowed out over
Again, we
Christmas.
talk about the Tory government, which said that it was going to build more prisons, and it certainly did lock more people up. So, you know, again, it's an inherited issue for the Labour Party, which is going to take a while.
2 points on that. Shame Lucy Connolly wasn't given the privilege of early release, despite being amongst other prisoners who committed far worse crimes, who were allowed to go home and see their children. So bear that in mind. It was Lord Hermer who oversaw her case. And secondly, Labour releasing the small boat migrant from Afghanistan who called for the death of all Jews. He was released on early release before being recalled back to prison some weeks ago. So it seems they've got their priorities sorted out there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and many people will be sympathetic with that view. But, you know, why on earth is it when people who are working day in, day out, working their fingers to the bone, trying to make ends meet, that are working 2 or 3 jobs just to have a nice Christmas, to be able to spend it with their family. All the while, there are people that have committed some of the most heinous crimes, just able to spend Christmas, you know, out in enjoying freedom that they should not be enjoying.
Charlie, we're going to speak to you again a little bit later on in the show. Charlie Rowley, her former political advisor. The time is 8 minutes past 8.
Right, following the Christmas Day airstrikes launched against Islamic State terrorists in northwest Nigeria, President Trump has described the move as a Christmas present to protect innocent Christians.
Many Republican supporters of the president have celebrated the joint operation with the Nigerian government, as the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has also hinted there could be more to come.
And in other news across the ponds, President Trump is set to meet with Volodymyr Zelensky tomorrow in Florida, the so-called Winter White House in Mar-a-Lago. Amid reports the Ukrainian leader is willing to bring a peace plan up for a referendum amongst the Ukrainian electorate if Russia agrees to a 60-day ceasefire.
Well, joining us now is former chair of Defence Select Committee, Tobias Ellwood. First of all, if we can talk about what is going on in Nigeria with these strikes then. So this is being portrayed as a strike to protect Christians in Nigeria, northern Nigeria.
Yeah, this is a reminder that Islamic State is far from defeated and remains a deadly influence. And we saw this on Bondi Beach only very recently. On the face of it, attacking Islamic State targets that are responsible for killing thousands of Christians seems justified, even long overdue. But when we learn more about this particular operation in northern Nigeria, I do have concerns. On the operation itself, some of these bombs hit villages where there's never been any Islamic State activity. That does need to be addressed. Secondly, jihadi extremism has been blighting Nigeria for decades, taking advantage of Nigeria's weak governance and security. But efforts to tackle the Islamic State and other groups there have been seriously weakened by Western disengagement, by the US and the UK, indeed, when we cut our aid budgets. Islamic State fills that vacuum. Soft power, the ability to improve local security and governance, is far cheaper and more effective than military intervention that comes later, something I'm afraid our politicians don't grab. And will America follow up these attacks with a serious strategy to eradicate Islamic State on the ground? I suspect that's not what Donald Trump intends to do. And that leads to my final point. What incentivized the US president to attack a part of Africa in the first place and make these claims specifically about the prosecution of Christians when Muslims are equally targeted in northern Nigeria? Indeed, more have died. And in America, there is this narrative swelling around social media, started with Charlie Kirk claiming that 125,000 Christians have been murdered by Muslims in Nigeria and nobody's doing anything about it. And it's this incomplete picture of what's going on in Nigeria that needs to be checked, indeed corrected. Let's go after Islamic State, no doubt about it. But I'm concerned that Donald Trump is using this to encourage and build his support on his base by taking action. We need to go after Islamic State. They should be destroyed. But this is almost a cack-handed and flawed way to go about it.
Tobias, you said more Muslims are being killed than Christians in Nigeria. I mean, how many Muslims have been killed, say, I don't know, the last 5 years in Nigeria compared to Christians?
Well, I've only got the numbers that you're probably available to see as well. We're looking at 8,000 in the last year of Christians, and more Muslims have been killed after that. To be clear, these the Islamic State, Boko Haram, and these other jihadi extremists don't care who they're killed. They're trying to dominate the areas. And in fact, they kill many more Muslims, because if the Muslims don't convert and join their cause, then they are immediately killed.
Sorry to interject. Sorry to interrupt. I guess the Trump administration is thinking that may be the case, that there's more Muslims killed. I don't know, but the Trump administration is thinking we are a Christian-first nation built on Christian values. We are predominantly a Christian country. So why would President Trump and the administration get involved to defend Muslims in Africa when they are a Christian nation defending the Christian faith?
Maybe you should be supporting anybody who's persecuted in Nigeria if you're willing to bomb Nigeria in the first place. That's the question I ask. When you start to segregate groups in this way and say, fine, Boko Haram, Islamic State can go after other Muslims, but we're just going to defend Christians, I think that's a very dangerous place to go.
Well, I guess you look after your own, don't you, Tobias? You look after your own. You wouldn't see Pakistan going to defend, sending F-35s to defend Christians elsewhere, for example. You defend your own people.
I'm really sorry that you're taking this line of questioning. If we're there to support and crush Islamic State in Nigeria, which I'm absolutely behind, then you work with the Nigerian government. The Nigerian government is, I'm afraid, like many African states, pretty corrupt. It's not as powerful as it should be. But again, I go back to the fact that because we've withdrawn support to provide better security and better governance, and that's why the vacuums that are created are taken over by Islamic extremists who do go after and persecute Christians and Muslims. The idea that we're only going in there, it's bordering on racism, I'm afraid. It's not a good direction of travel to go.
You think it's... Sorry, Tobias, with respect, don't be so ridiculous. To call it racist to protect and prioritise people of your own faith and your own culture?
In another country, you simply cannot go in to a country and say, I'm going to look after one religion but ignore another, when Nigeria is pretty much equally balanced between Muslim and Christians. I just simply suggest that's a very dangerous strategy to adopt. And as I say, it's an absence of a strategy, because there won't be a follow-up, I don't think, by America to go in to help build up capability of the armed forces, to provide that security, to strengthen governance capabilities, because all the programs have been cut. I do push back, sir, on this idea that we could go into any part of the world and particularly help one religion but not another, when both are being persecuted equally. I think that is wrong.
Can we move on, Tobias, on to the situation in Ukraine and this war of attrition there? And Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, saying that he hopes to bring an end to the war between his country and Russia with the help of President Donald Trump, who he's seeing tomorrow. Says that he's 90% there with the suggestions. The problem is, of course, is that Russia has to agree to whatever is actually thrashed out, and that is by no means certain.
Yes, I mean, you ask exactly the right question. Why would Russia agree to terms when they're actually on the front foot? They're gaining territory on the ground. Putin has orchestrated his entire economy to a war footing, and he can't afford to lose. So he's going to continue. His wider objective, which Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand, is that he wants to redraw the map of Europe, to rekindle influence like his in Soviet times. But equally, we're seeing Zelensky say, hang on a minute, I've just got a whole load of funds from Europe, from the European Union, from those frozen assets. I've now had a kill in Moscow, taking down a general. That's certainly going to affect the Russian psyche, thinking that they are not safe in their own capital city. And then there's bigger questions to do with security guarantees, the post-war reconstruction, what happens to Donbass itself, and so forth. And then even longer term, can Ukraine join NATO? These difficult questions have not been answered. And I think Zelensky has been very clever to say, I'm not going to make these decisions now. I will slide them across the table. We will hold a referendum in Ukraine, and the people can then decide. Otherwise, he might have been that president that gave up a fifth of the country, and then he'd have to live with that. That would be his legacy. He does not want to go there.
The problem with the referendum is that we know.
I don't have any faith that we're going to get anywhere again, I'm afraid, in these discussions.
Yeah. And also, we know that Russia is very good at actually being able to get in and sway referendums and etc. They're very clever on that front, and they've got lots of people who can do that.
Well, you say something that's so critical, because Russia is at war with us. They influence our social media. They're sowing disinformation. They're hitting us with cyber attacks and so forth. That is what Russia is doing. And again, Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand that. He's keen for a fast deal so he can then start doing minerals deals with Russia to bring Putin in from the cold. That's not where Europe wants to go. We see Putin as a threat, and unless we stand up to Putin in Ukraine, I'm afraid that war will continue beyond Ukraine.
Tobias, thank you very much. Tobias Elwood, former chair of the Defence Select Committee. Thanks for your company this morning. Right, let's get a weather update with Tom. Back in a tick.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day there across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain just pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now, the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so turning to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle, perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy dense freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, time now for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win £85,000 in tax-free cash. And Hayley Sparks, she's been on a magical trip to Lapland, the real Lapland.
Real Lapland, absolutely.
My boys went to Lapland, UK a few weeks ago, said it was great. Anyway, Hayley's been to the real Lapland and has all the details you need to win.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the fabulously festive Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what next year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You could find yourself on the adventure of a lifetime or just safe in the knowledge that next year is on us. £85,000 of tax-free cash really could be yours. Go on, give it a go, and Merry Christmas!
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
"22 minutes past 8. Still to come, the Irish government's released fresh files about Princess Diana and the then Prince Charles. We'll be telling you about that next.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to GB News Breakfast. Front page of the Times this morning, royal trips to woo Trump. So apparently, hopefully I'll be there in April. The King and Prince William set to visit the US.
Separately, I think.
Separate trips.
Separate visits.
In 2026. On a trip apparently to woo President Trump as part of a campaign to revitalise a trade deal with America.
Yeah, the Times reporting that King Charles's visit is possibly in April. You've been saying it's definitely in April.
Well, we were talking about this morning. I've been yapping along for months about the fact that King Charles is coming to DC in April, but it's still being mooted, apparently.
The point is it marks America's 250th year of independence, and then Prince William would probably go during the World Cup, which would be in June or July.
Yes, June, I think. June to July. Not counting, not looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's almost like you've actually got their diaries right there.
It's going to be a great year. In other royal news, a new document reveals the late Princess Diana's press team was branded as predatory by Charles's staff, who claimed her staff devoted time to upstaging him.
So these are documents which have been released from the National Archives of Ireland, and they were written to Irish officials 30 years ago, ahead of the then Prince of Wales' two-day visit to Ireland in 1995 after his high-profile separation from Diana in 1992.
One of the Prince's staff suggested that Diana's team, which they claimed was more predatory and skilled with the media, would likely stage a visit of their own soon afterwards.
So joining us now is former royal correspondent Charles Ray. First of all, Charles, if we can, in reverse order then, talk about this release of files about Princess Diana and Prince Charles as he was then. I suppose the one point that struck us when we were reading about it earlier on was we weren't that surprised.
Well, absolutely, Penny. I lived through this drama 30 years ago. It was called The War of the Waleses, and we were getting daily briefings, in effect, almost daily briefings from either side. You know, and there's no doubt about it. The Irish are correct. Diana was far more skilled and adept at briefing than the then Prince of Wales was. You have to remember that his public profile was way down in the depths. Never has it been known that his popularity was so bad, and the princesses was rising all the time. So it's of no surprise at all.
Charles, do you think, which of Diana's two sons do you think has inherited her media prowess? You think Harry's a bit more skilled on that front?
I think Harry would like to be a bit more skilled on that front. The trouble with dealing with the media, if you are doing all the sort of things that Harry has done, and I'm not talking about his charity work because that's fantastic. I'm full of it. But you know, when you, I don't know who advised him to go on to opera, write Spare, and do all these sort of things. Then he's not media savvy at all. It's only going to come down and hurt him at the end of the day, which it has done.
Actually, it's interesting you were saying that, actually, because I was listening to you doing that. I was just thinking of that interview after Princess Diana and Prince Charles got engaged, and Prince Charles was asked about love. Do you remember that? And he said, love, whatever that is.
Yeah, you had a sort of feeling then that things were not quite right going.
And that was just supposed to be at the time when you're massively in love. You've proposed, you've given the ring, you're in love. This is exciting, whatever love is.
And if you remember as well, Penny, the look that Diana gave him when he uttered those few words was you can imagine what was being said later on in private.
Yeah.
Charles, you mentioned that maybe Harry hasn't got the media prowess as Diana. I would argue, though, he has got a skill which she's being accused of in these documents, which is upstaging fellow royals, because we see all too often, for example, if the King's out on some press jolly somewhere and he wants the front page, he wants the splash on the papers, Meghan and Harry will release some picture of their kids or something to try and upstart them, and that happens many, many a time.
I'm not doubting that at all, Ben, and that's particularly Meghan. I mean, Meghan seems to be sitting at home looking through the diary to see which royal event she can come out with something or other. No, and if you want to call that skill, yeah, they're skilled at it.
Yeah, but then if we talk about Prince William and Catherine, then where do they sit, do you think, in being media savvy and perhaps social media savvy?
I think that, social media's come a long way from what it was, all those many, many years ago. And both, I mean, the royal family, like other institutions, use the social media for their own ends. And that's fine. I'm not complaining about that. But they keep a tight rein on access to the children. I mean, we saw them at Christmas, quite right. It was fantastic pictures for both TV and newspapers. Brilliant pictures. We had the candlelit service from the Prince of Wales with Charlotte and the piano and everything else. Fantastic. That is just great stuff. So we're not getting it every day. Similarly with Harry and Meghan, they are, in their way, protecting their children, and again, no problems with that at all. But I think the Waleses are still quite skilled in media savvy with things that they do and release. Yeah.
I love the Charlotte playing piano with her mum. It was great. It was very special seeing that. Charles, let me ask you. I'll be in DC next year. Are we going to see King Charles in April and indeed William for the football in the summer?
Unfurl your Union Jack. I'm sure you'll be welcome there at all. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm with you, Ben. These two events are going to take place. What we're talking about now is the minutiae of detail of what's going on. The King and Queen will be there in April. And William and Catherine will be there sometime in July, probably for July the 4th, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of their independence.
Yeah.
And so it'll all be happening. Big question is, will the couple from Montecito make the short journey across the States?
Good point. Yeah, well, good point, well made. I thought you were going to say, Charles, the big question is, will anybody be wearing a brooch like the Queen Elizabeth II to demonstrate what she was really thinking, allegedly? I loved all that stuff. Charles, thank you very much. Former royal correspondent Charles Ray there. Yeah, I just loved that when after every picture and there'd be this sort of brooch, meaning that allegedly, not particularly happy or
she was
well
big.
pleased.
She was big on subliminal messages. There was a story a couple of days back about how apparently Prince William was furious that. Do you remember the Queen's Christmas message, maybe a few years back, where she sat at her desk and she had lots of pictures of the family.
But not Prince Harry.
Not Harry and Meghan.
That's right.
I loved her subliminal messages.
Yes,
You'd never say it out loud, but, here's what I really think.
there is one of those things. Right, the time is just after 3:30. Still to come, the sport with Aidan.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Aidan with the sport.
Well, where do you want to start? I think we should start with cricket. What about
Go on then, just cricket.
Because England won with 4 wickets to spare, kind of overnight against Australia. The first time they won a Test penny down there since 2011, which I find quite extraordinary.
14 years.
I know.
It's a long drought.
Even hungover.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, yeah. Duckett. Well, Duckett didn't do too badly, actually. 34 runs, Zach Crawley, 37, Bethel 40 as well. And, as I say, they were 110 all out yesterday. This time yesterday I was saying it was all over, but they responded very well. And lots of criticism over the wicket as well. It means that this test is done in 2 days, same as it was in Perth. And these are meant to last 4 and 5 days. They're going to have to issue 90,000 refunds tomorrow.
You said that in the last hour. I cannot believe fans get refunds. Could you imagine that in boxing? If somebody gets knocked out with the first round and you get a refund?
Yeah, you get a refund.
No, but they cover that by putting on a big undercard now.
Yeah.
So no one gets shortchanged. You're guaranteed to see another
fight.
8 to 10 fights.
Well, maybe they should just put some more fun cricket on then. They do those ones that I told you about that I watched in India, where it's really good fun and they do loads of somersaults.
Yeah, but that's a short form. That's a short form of the game. That's the complaint this time. They're playing short form cricket in a long form game, and the idea is that this is a test. It's called a test for a reason. It tests you over a long period. But nonetheless, we got one test to go, and England are 3-1 down. It's all gone. But nonetheless, they salvaged
a lot of half-time sandwiches left over.
Yeah, exactly. I want to touch on Harry Redknapp as well. His horse, the Jukebox Man, sensationally won the King George VI chase yesterday at Kempton Park. It was a photo finish, and his horse got the job done. 142,375 reasons for Harry to be happy. And this is what he said afterwards. He said, to come here on King George Day and just run made me so proud, but to have a winner is special. I am so lucky. So for all he's achieved in football, he's now added a real jewel in the crown in terms of the racing roster to his many achievements.
I'd be chuffed just to have a run around Fontwell or Plumpton, let alone in the King George.
Well, that's one of my jobs on Christmas Day in my previous existence was to go and check the pitches on Christmas Day at 6 a.m. It was the easiest job in the world. You just interview the groundsman, he'd look at the ground, dig a fork in, yeah, it looks good. I'll be home by 8:30 in the morning.
I've had a quick look at the horse. It is a handsome horse. It's got a little triangle of white, so it's a chestnut horse. Oh, right, there we go. It's got a little... Can you see that?
Does it look like Harry? They say horses look like their owners.
No, I don't know whether you're going to be able to get that, because I'll probably tilt it. Where's camera 3? Oh, over there. There we go. Can you see that horse?
Beautiful.
Look, isn't that nice with a little triangle?
Yeah.
And
why the long face, though?
And long... Oh, stop it. And long black socks. which I quite like on a horse.
I love racehorses. I love all horses.
Yeah.
I cried when Coulter Star died.
Have you ever seen an elite horse up close?
Oh, yeah.
Incredible, aren't they?
Yeah.
Incredible. Let's move on to Man United. They beat Newcastle last night. They're just on the edge of the top four. 7 matches today, including Chelsea Villa later on this evening. Man City travel to Nottingham Forest. Arsenal in action against Brighton at 3 p.m. Luke Littler, he takes centre stage today at the Ali Pali in the darts. He is up against a fella called Mansur Sulovic, and he's defending his world title that he won last January, of course. And British #1 Jack Draper is going to miss the Australian Open next month with a long-standing arm injury. I've done a little bit of research on it. He said that it's the most critical stage of an ongoing arm issue, unfortunately. But he doesn't feel that he can take part in a Grand Slam. Hopefully he gets some fitness later in the year. He's 24, 25 years old. I think it's time he really fulfilled his potential.
Luke Littler, I didn't realise he had surgery as a child to correct his eyes.
Yes, he only revealed that in an interview yesterday. It was published in the last hour or so. And he said he was 4 years old when he had it done. I mean, it's quite... Phil Taylor always used to say to me that it's all about hand-eye coordination, repetition. He used to go down to his bunker. This is a guy who won, 15, 16 world titles. He'd go down to his bunker up in Staffordshire, and he said that if he'd been doing that all year round, just practising like that, he said it didn't matter what was going on the oche on the day. He would be getting all sorts of abuse, pints thrown at him. Nothing could interfere with that and the repetition, and it stood him in good stead, and that's why he was so successful. So the eyesight is crucially important.
Oh, yeah, I'd have thought so.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Messi getting growth hormones.
Yeah, when he was 6 years old, yeah, exactly. Barcelona paid for that.
Would he be the same player without the eyesight correction? Of course not, no
chance. Absolutely no chance. You need all your faculties, everything going for you. In any job, really.
Absolutely, Aidan, thank you very much. Still to come, recruitment platforms say that the Rachel Reeves job taxes have triggered the biggest decline in jobs across the G7. Claire and Duncan will be taking us through the news shortly. Look at them. What a gorgeous-looking pair.
What a festive cheer.
Yeah. First, let's have a look at some holiday sun in European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're off to the Eastern Med or Italy over the next few days for a New Year break, it'll be often sunny and dry, but much more unsettled towards the Western Med, particularly across Iberia, with some areas of low pressure bringing in some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds as well, and some mountain snow. Heavy snow on Saturday and into Sunday across the Pyrenees and Andorra. The showers clearing away from Sicily, leaving most of Italy and Greece fine and sunny, but there will be some heavy snow across parts of northern Turkey, otherwise a fine outlook elsewhere.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to GB News Breakfast. Claire Muldoon and Duncan Barks are with us now to go through the papers. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
What do you fancy?
Oh, let's dive in for Rachel Reeves, will we? Right, so there's actually a reason why I'm doing this one first, because it'll land perfectly well after my closing gambit for Duncan's story moving on next. Rachel Reeves' job tax rate and inflation-busting minimum wage increases have triggered the biggest hiring slump in the G7. Are we surprised? And this report has actually come from Indeed, which is an independent recruitment consultancy, online mostly. And the head of Indeed, Jack Connedy, who's a senior economist at Indeed, has said that the triple whammy of the national insurance hikes, the rise in minimum wage and the Employers' Rights Bill that Angela Rayner has brought in, or did bring in, has absolutely crippled the market. And most people are being, well, a lot of now people are being made redundant as well. And what, you know, it's just, it shows the fundamental precipice and the lack of security that jobs now hold. It's not the same market 20-odd years ago, 30-odd years ago, dare I say it, even 10 years ago. Now, they've had 14 years in opposition, right? They should have known the economic disablement that they were getting into. They should have had plans in place in order to steer the ship on calm waters, but they haven't.
But Claire, Rachel Reeves was an economist at the Bank of England.
Of course she was.
She knows what she's doing. Give her some time. She's
Gosh.
very
How on
talented
earth
lady.
did I forget that? In the spirit of Christmas as well. That's really poor of me.
Yeah. The other problem is, of course, is that all of these things particularly bash companies which are human heavy.
Well, that's the hospitality industry, isn't it?
But that's what I'm saying. So it's hospitality, it's retail, it's shops, it's that sort of thing. So it's all the people who employ a lot of staff, and it favours the people who don't have lots of staff, but who perhaps are making a lot of money, etc., etc. Anyway. It's not. I don't think anybody's particularly surprised about that story. Duncan, can we do a story though about pubs, because I think we've all agreed that we all love pubs.
We love a pub, and Claire's right. What she's just outlined, and you mentioned as well, Penny, the hospitality sector really is under the cosh at the moment, so we need to support our great British boozer. And it's not just about going to a pub and drinking beer, even though you like a pint of Timothy Taylor Landlord.
Timothy Taylor's Landlord.
I was in my little monster tap in Chichester, West Sussex, Hamilton beer
Claire,
on Christmas Day.
Are you a beer drinker?
I had a pint of Guinness on Christmas Day.
Guinness. And so,
Guinness, okay.
moving beyond the booze, there's this great bloke called Dean Perryman. He's 29, and what he's doing is going pubs across London and Essex, just having a beer on his own, but inviting people to sit down and have a chat.
How does he do that?
He says, you want to fancy a chat? And his whole reason for doing this, he had a mate who ended his life because he was not very happy, and he makes the point, this is Dean, that a lot of people suffer from loneliness, and sometimes it's not obvious if someone is suffering from loneliness. So when he's in a pub, if he sees someone alone, he'll go, come and join me for a beer, and they have a chin wag. So it's all about this one-man campaign to fight loneliness. And this just gets us back to pubs, because pubs aren't necessarily just about beer. They're a community hub. In the places that I drink, there are a number of older guys who live alone or who are widowed who go there because that's the only place they can get a conversation. And this is why, when you talk about the Rachel Reeves stuff, it's really important that we do whatever we can to help our pubs survive, because they're really under the cosh.
They've had such a hard time since COVID. I remember when energy prices were something like £2 a kilowatt hour, and the pubs, you know, are absolutely on their knees off the back of COVID. Then the electricity situation with Russia invading Ukraine, and now this.
And that's going to change again, because they're changing the goalposts in the way that the business tax will be funded through businesses. And, you know, it's just they're crippling them all the way. The COVID 40% tax relief will end in April. That will be easier for retailers to absorb the cost of, but not for independent pubs.
Exactly. And also, I know I bang on about it every single time, but the problem is, as well, is that supermarkets shouldn't be able to charge so little.
But Penny,
alcohol.
You say that. Now, minimum unit alcohol pricing in Scotland has done nothing. Right, so your argument then falls down north of the border, because pubs are still closing down in Scotland as well, where their supermarkets are not allowed to sell the alcohol at that cut price.
Well, I'm sure that if it was... Well, I mean, who knows? In that case, it doesn't help.
It's all Rachel Reeves' fault. It's easier to say that.
Also, Duncan, nice segue very quickly. Brits are on track to consume more than 200 million pints of non-alcoholic and low-alcohol drinks. So, again...
Well, this is something else. So pubs are adapting. So if I know that I've got to drive somewhere, I'll still go to the pub, but I'll have one of these 0% beers that's on offer.
So good.
Well, my favourite,
the
Guinness, exactly, the Guinness. I can't tell the difference.
I can't.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
and also, there's a little bit of Gen Z activity going on here, because the Gen Z... Are you a Gen Zer?
89 I was born.
89?
No,
you're, yeah.
But, sorry, Duncan, what is the point of drinking non-alcoholic? Surely you drink to get a bit of an alcohol hit.
If that's what
some people do. Some people just like the flavour of beer.
You like the taste?
Yeah, I love the taste of Guinness. And genuinely, I can't tell the difference between normal Guinness and 0%. But we're having generations coming through who aren't necessarily the kind of lushes that Claire and I might be. So consequently, they want to go to the pub, but they don't want to necessarily consume alcohol. So we're seeing this massive boost in non-alcoholic spirits.
It's all across the board. It really is. But then Gen Zs now can't identify the safe legal limit to drive.
Well, most of them, a lot of them don't drive anyway, because they can't get driving tests.
Well, it's not so much that. They're too inclined for their oat milk lattes that they want to scooter or e-bike it everywhere.
Claire, can we end with a story that you found in The Sun, which is about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex?
Do you know what? This is the gift that keeps on giving. Meghan needs a new PR team, ... again. So within 12 months, I don't know if this is the 5th team or something like that, I'm not too sure.
It's the 12th publicist in 5 years.
You just wonder what on earth goes on. I mean, she needs a PR to manage her PR team, I would say. So it's just unbelievable.
You should send your CV in.
I would be brilliant, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd sack you within a day.
Do you think?
Standing up to her, yeah.
Ben, do you really think I'm that bad?
Well, you can.
Oh, I'm sure she can be ameliorating. I bet you can be just as creepy as the rest of us. Are you sure you wouldn't like another latte with a twist, decaf, no milk?
I don't think I would, actually, Penny. I think Ben's right.
I have one more story for the ladies, if you don't mind. There's a story in The Sun saying apparently women prefer the dad bod. They prefer a softly round dad bod to a ripped torso. Nearly 6 in 10 women say they went for someone with a beer belly or spare tyre. Is that true?
I'm Duncan stroking his
vindicated at last.
His ripped abs.
Well, I just think it's vanity at the end of the day, and if someone spends that amount of time on the body, then they're going to spend precious little on me, and it's all about me.
Perhaps.
Oh yeah,
unless they're actually
on the conversation.
War and Peace at the same time.
Yeah,
not that War and Peace is particularly.
In third place came the skinny look of the likes of Mick Jagger and Jarvis Cocker. Muscle-bound types such as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Arnie were next for 6%.
No.
So women apparently prefer beer bellies or skinny guys.
Beer bellies. I don't think it doesn't say
extensively
that it has to be a beer belly.
obese.
It's just just kind of, you know,
Well, it does,
looking
yeah,
like,
6 to 10.
looking like they enjoy themselves.
Men who are built for
Say.
comfort, not for speed.
There we go. I think
You've
we've
rehearsed
tidied
that line.
right
You've
up.
used that line before.
Numerous times.
Well, I'll have to get down the boozer for some more Guinnesses then.
Duncan, Claire, thank you very much. And we're going to see you again, I hope, in another hour.
Indeed you are.
Good, excellent. My goodness, there'll be nothing left of the papers. It's time for an update on your weather. Here's Tom Morgan.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day though across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain just were pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so turning to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle, perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy, dense, freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date. £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with, each month for a whole year. That could be you, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
What I've discovered is that a comet that was observed by the Chinese in 5 BC, I put together the information from their observation to come up with an orbit that would take this particular comet very, very close to the Earth. And as it passed the Earth, probably about the distance to the moon, a position on the rotating Earth would have seen the comet pause for a period of hours over a location. We have the same thing now with the geosynchronous satellite. If you stand at the equator, there are geosynchronous satellites that stay over your head 24/7. This comet was so close to the Earth that it would have had the brightness of like a first quarter or full moon. So it would have been clearly visible in the daylight.
So it would have been easier for them to follow. And how quickly would they have had to have travelled? Could they have travelled fast enough to keep up with it?
Well, it would have been a direction. So it turns out it takes 2 or 3 hours to walk from Jerusalem to Bethlehem. It's a relatively short distance. And that's the period of time where it behaved like this for those few hours. So there was the time available. Now, of course, their trip from the east, it would have taken many weeks. And the Chinese said the comet was visible in the constellation Capricorn for more than 70 days. And it's that appearance in one constellation for an extended period. Pilots know this. If you see an object in the sky while you're flying a plane and it's not moving left, right, or up, down, it's actually on a collision course, or nearly so, with you. So the comet was heading more or less directly towards the Earth until, at least in my theory, they arrived in Jerusalem and walked that distance from Jerusalem to Bethlehem.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, good morning to you. It's 9 o'clock. Britain relies on twice as many foreign doctors as most Western countries.
New statistics show that foreign-trained doctors make up 42% of our medical workforce.
Ministers are now being urged to wake up to the over-reliance on foreign medics.
With the Conservatives asking the government to act to train up homegrown doctors and nurses to secure the future of the NHS.
Elsewhere, President Trump's Secretary of War has warned of further US strikes against ISIS targets in Nigeria. That's after the group was accused of targeting Christians.
President Zelensky is to meet Donald Trump tomorrow in Florida for talks over a peace plan Ukraine.
And the King and Prince William are expected to make separate visits to America in the new year in what's being dubbed the charm offensive aimed at President Trump during the 250th anniversary of American independence.
And in a blow for the high street, early indications show that footfall for the Boxing Day sales was down as much as 7%. Full budget impact expected to hit early next year.
Will the sun shine where you are today, or will it be cloudy skies through this weekend? Find out in your full forecast coming up.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Ben Leo.
I'm Penny Smith, and this is GB News Breakfast. I just said at this point I'd like to talk about cheese. By the way, if you're just going, who's that bloke over there? If you haven't seen him earlier, Charlie Rowley, former political advisor. The reason I want to talk about cheese is that unless you're allergic to cheese, don't like cheese or whatever else, it is about today that you go, ooh, there's lots of cheese that I've got to eat, and you suddenly start going through all the cheese options. And I'm thinking Welsh rarebit.
Ooh, or as they say in America, grilled cheese.
Yes, but why do we call it Welsh rabbit when it's actually nothing to do with a rabbit? I think it was to do with...
I'm sure viewers will know that.
Yeah, somebody somewhere must... I'm sure I've looked this up in the past, and it's about the fact that it was how posh people pronounced rabbit.
Yes.
And is that right?
Well, AI says it's called Welsh rarebit as a playful, slightly derogatory 18th century joke implying that poor Welsh people who couldn't afford real rabbit, a luxury meat at the time, substituted it with cheese on toast, with rarebit being a corruption of rabbit, to emphasise it's rare.
I'm sorry, you see, I seem to remember diving into this, because that's what AI says on the overview.
Sounds true.
I seem to recall that the 18th century, the rabbits you could snare a rabbit really easily. Just gone and got a rabbit.
Oh.
So actually, rabbit was the food of the
Have you had rabbit recently?
Weirdly, I did in Malta. It's their national dish, rabbit. So, but I'm just yes. Sorry, Charlie. You have a rabbit, Welsh rabbit.
No, I'm a big fan of cheese on toast, but cheese for me has never been a dessert. And I know lots of people have cheese as a dessert course, and I would never, unless it's cheesecake, which I'm a huge fan of, but I would never have cheese as a dessert up until recently, which surprised myself.
I think they do know that we actually do have a pudding stomach, which is that you're absolutely full, you're stuffed to the gunnels, you are essentially 99.9% full, and then somebody comes around with an offer of a pudding, and all of a sudden you develop another stomach, and you can actually squash in an enormous amount of profiteroles or trifle or rice pudding or whatever else it is.
That's
and they
me.
have found, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I'm all for puddings.
Oh, I love
100% sweet
rice
tooth,
pudding, but you
anything.
see, I like a proper pudding, like, you know, an old-fashioned roly-poly pudding, custard, something solid.
I had a bowl of custard on Boxing Day. Just a bowl of
Excellent,
custard.
lovely. Anything that comes with custard.
I'm all for spotted dick.
Spotted dick and
sorry.
custard. Do you see? That's what I mean. The old-fashioned,
Yeah.
the old-fashioned puddings, I think, are great. Which is why I went off puddings in about the 80s when it was all Italian stuff, you know, which is just not
tiramisu.
Yeah, but it's not pudding,
profiteroles.
is it? It doesn't come with. No, you need. Yeah, exactly. You need something hot and stodgy to take you through.
Yeah.
But I
well,
agree
Christmas
with you.
pudding this year. I'm a huge fan of Christmas pudding.
Yes, love.
I know that divides the room as well now, Christmas pudding.
Apparently so. Yeah.
But unless my mum's still putting pound coins in the Christmas pud.
Oh, you know, pound coins. That's quite hefty.
Back in the day.
Yeah, we used to have thin.
Was that your pocket money that you were talking about earlier on?
Right, we are going to be... Well, actually, we're talking to Charlie right now because we're talking about this report which has revealed that we have twice as many foreign doctors and nurses as most Western countries, an influx of more than 20,000 foreign doctors a year to Britain.
Yeah, crazy numbers. The report comes as UK medical graduates struggle to secure entry roles into the NHS, with resident doctors, or junior doctors, as we've previously known them as, citing foreign medics taking limited training places as one of the reasons for their pre-Christmas strikes.
Yeah, Charlie, we did mention your former political advisor. And this is something that we, again, it's a bit like, you know, so many stories that we've done just recently where you go, you know, well, I think we knew this, didn't we? We've known this for quite some time.
Yeah, and people would just think, why on earth can the government not get on top of this? It just seems like common sense. If you've got thousands of people in the UK that are training to become doctors and nurses that want to work in the NHS, a great British institution, but they can't. You know, there are no jobs available because the government and the NHS has recruited from overseas. So people will be up in arms and people will be sympathetic to those that have trained. We've talked in the previous hours, it costs about £160,000 per individual to go and train. So why isn't there a place at the end of it? And why then that leaves those UK nationals who've trained nothing else to do other than go abroad? Exactly.
Go abroad. We've talked about this a lot. I just wondered if we could now look back at the year. There's lots of looking back at the year. This is about the time that the newspapers, for example, do big pullouts about what happened in 2025. Looking at politics, what would you say are the standout items from 2025?
It's got to be this year, I think, the budget, because there was so much news in the run-up to it, whether income tax was going to be increased. That would have been another manifesto pledge that was broken. Rachel Reeves, you remember, gave a bit of a press conference ahead of that budget to the nation, sort of marching us up the hill.
For goodness sake, didn't we? We virtually... It was as though they were flying endless kites and seeing which ones were going to float the best.
Charlie, I'd like to ask you this. Why didn't Labour announce the U-turn on farmers' inheritance tax at the budget? What happened between the budget and Christmas?
Yeah.
They absolutely could have done. And it would have been a moment, actually, where the government could have, in a way, despite all the other U-turns, for example, on welfare, for example, as despite the U-turn on national insurance contributions, another manifesto pledge broken, it could have been a moment, actually, where the government got a bit of credibility to say, look, we know this has been an issue in the background. We know there were a discrepancy in the numbers from the Treasury saying it was only a handful of farms. We now have discovered it might be more than that. And we are learning and we are doing the right thing by getting rid of the inheritance tax on farms. It could have been a moment for the government to sort of salvage
so
a bit of credibility.
Politically naive, or did something happen between the budget and Christmas for them to...
Well, I think it was probably... The Treasury won't just sort of come up with this overnight. They would have been aware about it. But I imagine, because of I'm afraid, the way in which the government hasn't quite got into a position where it would want to be 18 months in. It's still a new government. It would want to have better headlines than what it has, sorry. I would have imagined this would have been a political decision to say, right, let's just sneak this out around Christmas time and hopefully no one really notices, even though they will, because we can't take another headline-grabbing news day of a U-turn situation. So I think it might have been a political decision, but there's no let-up, because straight away in the new year, there'll be questions in the House of Commons. Ministers will be dragged to the dispatch box to try and explain why the U-turn, as you say, over this period, are not in the budget.
Jeremy Clarkson writing either The Sun or The Times today, some newspaper.
I think it's The Sun, isn't it?
Saying that the U-turn, £2.5 million threshold, isn't enough, doesn't go far enough. Which is in stark contrast, actually, to the National Farmers Union, other sort of high-profile farmers last week when it was announced.
But what's extraordinary is that, look, whether it's inheritance tax on farms, whether it was the welfare bill of $5 billion, I know that sounds a huge sum of money, but if you take all of government spending altogether, it's not that much. Yeah. So the idea that they've sort of, climbed us up a sort of mountain to jump off over the back of something that is relatively small chips. They could have saved $5 billion in the welfare bill, but Labour backbenchers didn't want it, so the government had to climb down. It shows the friction on the Labour and the government backbenches, which means going into 2026, the government have really got to start coming out with results and not just telling people what it's going to do. So not just telling people that the economy is going to get better, not just telling people that, we're going to smash the gangs. It's about showing those results on the ground and feeling the pound in your pocket and feeling better off, seeing those waiting lists come down. All the things that they said they're going to do, we've got to start to see that bite just before the May local elections, where the public will, even though they're local, people will be, chomping at the bit, I think, to get out there and have their say.
You see, if I was thinking of headlines and things that suddenly popped out, I'd also say Angela Rayner this year.
Yes, exactly.
The fact that, and particularly those photographs of her in the pool, which were very divisive, actually. People saying, well, no, because people were saying, actually, was she in a pool or was she in the... No, I was thinking of in the pool with a glass of wine, I seem to recall. Yeah. But it was just or was it in the sea? Anyway, whatever it was, I just remember about the fact that it was sort of brought out, in some ways, it brought out the worst of people's natures, in the fact that, quite a lot of it was about, oh, look at that. Look at that. That's a woman who's in power, and look at what she does.
Yes. No. I mean, again, it's the season of goodwill and all that, and I think you should always play the ball, not the man or woman, in this particular case. And politicians should rightly be scrutinised, and if they get something wrong, they should be hauled over the coals or hauled to Parliament, and the papers and the journalists. We've all got a job to, make sure that we're holding politicians to account, and everybody's being scrutinised. But
when it's about their personal life and what they choose to do.
And yes, and the connotations and suggestions. But to be fair, Angela Rayner is a character, and I think that's why people like her, because she's punchy. She comes from a completely different background compared to a lot of politicians. Yeah. That's something that I personally do like about her. I don't like the fact that she called Tories scum at one stage, but I'm happy to let that one slide, because we all make mistakes. We should be slightly more forgiving, I think, at times, particularly around language, because I think for too long, actually, we feel as though we've not been able to say what we think.
I think Angela could probably... I mean, I don't think she would have been too fussed about those pictures and the comments. She can handle herself. She's a working-class girl. She's, as you said, she said her own stuff about the Tories in the past.
Yeah. And look, people are still talking about Angela Rayner, a possible comeback for her, because, the Labour Party, again, they are not in the place that they want to be in the polls. They've got the threat of the Greens. Reform are obviously still leading in a number of polls. The Tories might have had a late surge under Kemi because of her performances in the House of Commons. So it really is now, where all other political parties might seem to be on the rise, Labour, who is the governing party after only 18 months, have really got to make some tough decisions.
Just very quickly, big predictions for 2026? One or two?
I think it's an obvious one to say that the local elections will be a bit of a disaster for Labour. Who is the actual winners? That's in May. Who are the winners of those elections? Will it be Reform?
Greens?
Possibly. The Greens, exactly. I think they'll be picking up some. Can Kemi in the Tories hold on to some of those? I think the more interesting one is that I think Keir Starmer will actually, despite those losses, may even hang on.
I was going to say
longer than because that's what I was wondering.
Well, I mean, your viewers and everyone will remember obviously that the reason why the Tories got such a kicking wasn't just necessarily not dealing with immigration and taxes being too high, but was because the chopping and changing of their leader, and that was because the backbenchers in the Tory party could trigger a vote of no confidence if a certain number of MPs submitted letters to the 1922 committee, which basically is the governing backbench body of the Tory party. There isn't the same mechanism in the Labour Party, forgive me. So how do you unseat a Labour Prime Minister? It's very difficult, unless people obviously march up to him and knock on his door and say, come on, Keir, time to go. But will he relinquish the reins? Will the Labour Party, with a huge majority, actually vote for a no confidence in itself? Very unlikely. So how do you unseat this Labour Prime Minister? We'll have to wait and see if that comes to pass.
Charlie. Thank you. Thank you very much, Charlie Rowley.
Thank you, Charlie. Right, if it wasn't cold enough yesterday, it felt Baltic yesterday, didn't it?
It did, indeed.
A yellow cold health alert and weather warnings have now been issued for parts of the UK over the festive period. That's as forecasters dashed hopes of a white Christmas. The only exception being neighbouring Jersey, who had their first white Christmas in 55 years.
Oh, nice. So the UK Health Security Agency has warned that the colder weather is likely to pose a greater risk to the life of vulnerable people and result in an increased use of healthcare services by the vulnerable, with the cold alert in place until midday today in some areas.
Joining us now is weather journalist Nathan Rowell. Nathan, good morning. Thanks for your company. Are you wrapped up warm?
Oh, I am, Ben. I am. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Penny. You're going to need to wrap up warm, because we are getting a real bite of the Arctic at the moment. And as you said, there is a UK Health Security Agency, a cold weather health alert in place across the southwest until midday today for the vulnerable. I would expect we're going to see more and more of those over the coming days, because this cold is going nowhere right up until New Year's Eve. We didn't have any snow this Christmas, unfortunately, in the UK or in England, certainly. But as we go into New Year, there is a chance we might get the two magic ingredients needed for snow. That is cold air, as you're undoubtedly feeling over us at the moment, and moisture. There is some moisture coming into the UK from the North Sea over New Year, so we may get snow. But in the meantime, it is freezing, and it is going to stay freezing. And yes, you are going to need to wrap up in this time of betwixtmas between Christmas and New Year.
And where is this weather coming from? Because actually, Ben said Baltic. Could it be coming from the Baltics?
Good question. Yes, it could be. What we've got is high pressure over the north of the UK. And if you imagine a big spinning wheel over the north of a UK map, that brings in air clockwise. So that's going to be coming down from the north and from the east. And through the coming days, you're right, we could see something coming in from the east and eventually from that area, Russia, Siberia, Eastern Europe, Baltic type region. At the moment, it's more northerly. It's coming down from the Arctic, but we could well get an easterly. And as I mentioned, with the snow over the North Sea, a low pressure system is looking like it's going to generate over the New Year period. And low pressure brings moisture in. And when you get moisture and cold air meeting through the North Sea down over England, that is when you might get snow. So it's coming from the north and it's coming from the east. And it's going to be pretty cold still right through the start of January.
Now, when we talk about pretty cold, what are we talking about in terms of the actual temperature, the actual Celsius?
Yeah, good question. We're looking at daytime temperatures of low single figures, so it's not the worst big freeze I've ever seen. It's certainly one of the coldest Christmas periods I've seen. We usually get very mild Christmases. I'm talking at this time of year of temperatures of 15, mid-teen figures. So we're looking at temperatures in the low single figures, and overnight dropping to freezing. But what's going to be the worst thing about this cold thing, especially when the winds pick up, is the wind chill. Because even though we get real temperatures of around 0, maybe just above, when you put in that wind chill, those winds coming down from the north, that feels like temperature can drop to about -10. And that is what some of the wind chill temperature charts are showing at the moment. So if you're going to be walking out, going up mountains and hilly areas, you're really going to feel that bite of the cold over the next few days. And that's going to be because of the wind chill rather than the actual real temperature.
All the more reason, Nathan, to stay inside, get a cup of tea and put GB News on for hours on end, eh?
Actually, before we go, Nathan, I just wanted to say, you were talking about moisture and snow. Does it have to be below 0 to have snow?
Very good question. What you need for snow is snow forms in clouds. I'm going to try and keep this brief because I know it's an end point. Snow forms in clouds anyway, and when it falls down through warmer air that's above 0, it disappears and it evaporates. What we need for snow is the snow to form in the clouds high up in the atmosphere. That's going to happen, and for temperatures at ground levels to be below 0 or just at 0. So when it falls through the lower levels of the air, it stays intact and falls as snow, and that's what we need to keep our eyes on as we go through the start of 2026.
Nathan, thank you very much. Nathan Rowell, weather
you.
journalist. I like being told I asked excellent questions.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. That's a good question, I think. Right, time now for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. It's £85,000 in tax-free cash. And Hayley Sparks has been on a very lucky trip to magical Lapland, where you've been.
I have indeed, yeah.
And you hurt your thumb.
Hurt my thumb, fella. I was dog sledging up in the north.
Thrown off. Woof. Right, here's all the details for that 85 grand.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make your new year the best yet.
And we've come to the fabulously festive Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate.
Imagine what next year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank.
You could find yourself on the adventure of a lifetime or just safe in the knowledge that next year is on us. £85,000 of tax-free cash really could be yours. Go on, give it a go, and Merry Christmas!
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
We talked about it being cold. We've got the full weather forecast now with Tom Morgan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day though across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain drizzle pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so tending to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle, perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland, clear skies here, so a widespread frost developing and some patchy, dense, freezing fog by the end of the night, particularly in the central belt. That means it will be a grey start to the day on Sunday for some of us. The fog only very slowly lifting across central and southern parts of Scotland, perhaps lingering all day long. Otherwise, the rest of Scotland seeing light winds and plenty of sunshine. But elsewhere across the UK, overall pretty cloudy compared to recent days. The best sunny brightness across western parts of Wales and the very far southeast of England. But overall, a fairly cool and chilly day to come with a lot of cloud and temperatures around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, still to come, no surprise actually for me, a slump to the Boxing Day sales with footfall down apparently on previous years. Our reporter Doogie Beattie is in a high street and I just said to you earlier, Next was closed yesterday on Boxing Day. Big stores Next, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well that's why I think this weekend actually might be the bigger footfall.
Bit of a pickup.
If you like, yeah, because the weekend. This is GB News Breakfast with Penny and Ben.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
26 minutes past 9 is the time, and economists had predicted it, and so it proved. There was a Boxing Day sales slump. Shoppers spending £1 billion less this year than last year, many saying that it's because of the cost of living.
Yeah, but it's not all bad, apparently, because analysts are saying that despite less people, the average shoppers are set to spend more, with hopes spenders could save the struggling high street.
We're going to GB News Northern Ireland reporter Dougie Beattie now. And there you were yesterday. You were freezing cold, but going racing. Now you're on a high street in your Christmas coat.
Yes, exactly, Penny. And yesterday, actually, after the racing, I went to a retail park outside Banbridge, right on the border, one of Northern Ireland's busiest retail parks. And to be honest, there was good footfall, but it wasn't sales standard, to be honest about it, and there was some good bargains to be had. This morning I'm in Belfast. This is one of the main streets into the shopping centres, because most of the car parking's actually just behind or in front of me here, and this street would normally be absolutely bunged. And, well, you can see for yourself, it's not. And this is the problem that appears to be happening. That report talked about retail parks. And of course, retail parks have parking beside them. They have many different shops in and around them. And the high streets are very much dying. And this is something that has been going on for years and years. And many of these premises here have to pay out more on rates, business rates, than they do on the actual rent of the building to stay here. And when you can't bring a car into the centre of a city or a town, because you're punished for doing so, if you're buying a big ticket item, well, it's very hard to get it back to the car. And this is proving to be the problem in not only Belfast, but all the cities right across the UK. So a bit like America did back in the 90s, we've seen these shopping malls appear right throughout the countryside, and then what happened was the centre of the cities died. And I don't mean to be the voice of gloom this morning, but, you know, when I was a young lad, we'd have parked the car there and went in with all our Christmas money to buy the goods in the shops behind us. Of course, online has a big point to do with that. COVID very much accelerated that. People that would never have dreamt of going online for shopping, of course, decided that was the only thing that they could actually do, and made it quite easier. So we've got to do something to save the high streets. It was funny. Before Christmas, I was talking to Glenn Roberts of Retail and he was pointing out that this very problem. So I'm sure that it's exactly the same the whole way across the UK.
Doogie, it doesn't look like there's many people for you to speak to, so why don't you find yourself a Spoons or something and start the day early? Are they open yet?
Yeah, do you know what? I was listening to Penny earlier on. She was saying, oh, I like to feel the garments. I like to see the size. I like going to the shops. Wouldn't she be a nightmare? Penny, you'd be a nightmare to take out shopping. Absolute
no, listen,
nightmare.
I'm really fast, Doogie. I'm
Ireland,
not. I'm really, really speedy because I don't need to look at everything because I go, no. Yeah. That's the point, is I don't look at many things.
See, men go in and they know exactly what they're looking for. They walk into the shop, go, that'll do, thanks very much, and they leave. Whereas women tend to go into the shops and have a look at everything and go back to the thing that they started with in the first place. By which time the men are outside going, I want to go home, I want to go home, this is me. That's why people hate shopping, and they hate shopping with the wife. They don't mind her going out shopping by herself, take the card, but they don't like going with them for that very reason. But in Northern Ireland, actually, business-to-business parcels under the framework document, businesses have to pay £30 for every parcel that comes from mainland UK into the European customs zone, which we are now in. And of course, that's causing a problem for us on veterinary products on the New Year's Day. We will no longer be allowed the same veterinary products that you are allowed inside the UK. And new cars, if they are not up to EU standards, it means that the price of our new cars in Northern Ireland could be up to £4,000 dearer. And it means that the price of our insurance will go up because the parts have to be brought in from Europe, which means your insurance is based on new car parts. So the price of insurance will no doubt go up inside Northern Ireland. Another win for Rishi Sunak's best of both worlds and the framework document.
Now, because I'm a bit of a Pollyanna-ish person, I would say, though, that the good thing about Northern Ireland is you can always get a properly decent cup of tea.
Oh God, yes. I survive on tea every day. I say I would drink 20 cups of tea a day.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing to admit, but I would.
I know, sometimes fueled entirely. I don't think that my blood, if you took my blood, I think you'd probably be able to sort of stick a spoon in it and go, yeah, definitely, that's a bit of PG tips there.
Bit of Yorkshire. Doogie, thanks very much, mate. Stay warm and...
Yorkshire tea.
I advise you go and find that Spoons. I would if I were you.
Talking of spoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Thank you very much to Doogie Beattie there in Northern Ireland. Still to come, new technology has been designed to automatically contact emergency service for motorbike riders in the event of a crash, and we're telling you more about that next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I think it's just good, honest, humble food. And yeah, as people get away from the ultra-processed stuff and get back to their roots, and what's better than a good jacket potato?
Do you know what? Sales of jacket spuds have gone through the roof. The big potatoes at Waitrose. There's been a 178% increase in people looking at recipes. And I just think it's wholesome, it's affordable, it's comfortable, you know, it makes you feel good, it's back to basics. That, I think, at the moment, sums up the nation.
I think very much it being affordable as well, with the climate we're living in at the moment, it definitely helps knowing, you know, you're putting food on the table for a reasonable price, and people appreciate that. And it's good, honest food. You can feed your kids, and kids are seeing it on social media, and they're getting excited about it as well. So they're not like, you know, obviously everyone sees all the big brands, and now there's all these, you know, jacket potato people out there, and we're giving them something that's healthy and they want to eat it. And I think the parents appreciate that.
And Ben, I've seen your videos. They queue around the block to get to you. If people are in the mood to cook a potato tonight, of course, we don't want to affect your sales. What is your sort of top-of-the-pop spud recipe? Give it to us.
Oh, it's all about variety. It's picking the right potato is really important. Get a nice melody or a cara or culture or something like that. Nice and big. In the oven, if you can. Hour and 20. Get a nice crispy skin on there. Loads of butter, loads of cheese, and a nice curry on top or something. That's my go-to.
Ooh. Now that was a final little curveball there you threw at the last minute there, Ben.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, welcome back to GB News Breakfast, 9:35 just about. We all know that at this time of year our roads are typically far more dangerous thanks to poor weather, darker nights and people simply not following the law. However, figures show that the group most at risk are motorcyclists, as they make up 1/5 of every collision victim in the UK.
Thanks to some pioneering technology, though, an app called Real Rider SOS will now automatically call emergency services if a rider is involved in a crash.
Our national reporter Sophie Reaper's been taking a look at how the new app could be saving lives this festive season.
I lost control of my front wheel, which in turn slid me across the road. I was in a lot of pain. I damaged my ribs in my back. So at the time I wasn't sure what injuries I had, but I knew I was in a lot of pain.
Every 17 minutes, someone is killed or seriously injured on British roads, with the highest number of accidents taking place in the winter months. 20% of all casualties are those riding motorbikes, making them extremely high risk at this time of year.
If I'd have been riding that road on my own, what the outcome would have been if I'd crashed and I was on my own and I'd been knocked unconscious and I didn't have the ability to call the ambulance service. That was the biggest scary moment for me, to be honest. Put me in a position where I'm not invincible, and it made me very vulnerable from that perspective.
But lucky for Scott, he wasn't alone. He was carrying a new pioneering piece of technology, the Real Riders SOS app, which, in the event of a crash, automatically contacts the emergency services.
It looks for a series of decisions, essentially. So a rapid deceleration, an impact, and then a tumbling through time and space. If each of those things occur, you have a notification that's sent directly to the rider. If they're up and about and they can move around, they can actually intervene at that point and they can switch the application off. If they're unconscious or if they're badly hurt, they can leave that to run its course, and then it's sent directly to the closest ambulance service to the rider's location.
The app is designed to get critical help as soon as possible, to minimise lasting damage and sometimes even to save lives. But the team want it to be a last resort, and so are urging riders to take the necessary precautions to stay safe.
I would say to anybody on a motorcycle, be visible. Remember it's dark, remember it's cold, remember it's icy. Look out for things like overspill of diesel, anything that can compromise your position on the road. And ideally, use any safety equipment that's available to you. So great things like air vests, our application, great helmets, gloves, anything that you can do to keep you sort of safe and secure on the road would be a great thumbs up from me.
Over the coming days, roads are likely to be far more dangerous. So no matter what vehicle you're driving, make sure to take care. Sophie Reaper, GB News.
Yeah, not a big fan of bikes. You like MotoGP, don't you?
I do.
You don't like Formula One?
Yeah, no, I don't. No, and I'll watch anything with Guy Martin in it. The time is 9:38. We're going to be looking at the papers shortly with Claire and Duncan. But before that, here is the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're off to the Eastern Med or Italy over the next few days for a New Year break, it'll be often sunny and dry, but much more unsettled towards the Western Med, particularly across Iberia, with some areas of low pressure bringing in some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds as well, and some mountain snow. Heavy snow on Saturday and into Sunday across the Pyrenees and Andorra. The showers clearing away from Sicily, leaving most of Italy and Greece fine and sunny, but there will be some heavy snow across parts of northern Turkey, otherwise a fine outlook elsewhere.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this was the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think we've lost the plot. We're talking about jazz now, jazz and opera, and what makes good jazz and what makes bad jazz. Claire Muldoon and broadcaster Duncan Barks. I'm sorry. What?
I thought we were still discussing it.
Live on air. I know, we're live on air now, but we could carry on if you like. No, so we've decided that we know now that Duncan loves jazz.
Love jazz.
Well, even the bit where it's just a bit of a whole load of noise and people.
You mean
kind of
freeform?
on. Yeah, that stuff where they just.
Well, not
riffing away.
necessarily, but it's, you know, it has a place.
does it?
You can't go wrong with John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald.
Some of them, yeah. Billie Holiday, all right. Yeah. Anyway, should we start on something else, though? A burger a week, Duncan, saves the planet.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, so we get these reports every now and then if you want to save the planet and do your bit and help biodiversity. So these are researchers at the University of Edinburgh have concluded that if you want to do your bit to save the environment, it should be down to just one burger a week. What's interesting about this, which did make me smile, is that a University of Edinburgh study found the optimum quantity of cowpats to sustain insects and birds which feed on cowpat-dependent creatures, such as blue butterflies, equates to consumption of about 1 burger per week.
Well, that sounds OK. I don't have more than a burger a week.
But this is red meat in general.
I see.
Right.
This is.
So, yeah.
Right. So it's not. It doesn't have to be a burger. OK. So it can be anything. So that's the amount.
And then we roll into this that cutting meat consumption by 90% from current levels could reduce potentially harmful greenhouse gases. And you have this story about how eating less red meat is good in a number of different ways.
Claire, they want us weak. They want us
weak, mealy-mouthed and submissive. Yeah. They want us under the cosh.
Under the cosh, and no thought about how this would impact on British farmers.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactamundo. It's almost as if Rachel Reeves has commissioned the study by herself. But can you imagine the thought process going on at Edinburgh University? They sit back and think, oh, we need to get some funding. Someone wants to do a PhD on measuring cowpats. And it always goes back to climate change or climate something, instead of just dealing with the case in hand and just dealing with proper academic arguments.
I agree.
No, by the way, none of this climate nonsense matters until China stop building the equivalent of a coal power station a week.
And India.
You know, the UK's global emissions, what is it, 1%?
Oh, if that.
Performative nonsense.
Absolutely.
Right, Claire.
Give me a burger.
Oh, just right, Claire. Holly Ramsey and Adam Peaty are in the news again. This has been a kind of story that's been rumbling on because they are getting married. Holly Ramsey is...
Gordon Ramsay's daughter.
Gordon Ramsay's daughter. Adam Peaty, of course, very fast in a pool.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is so sad. As a mother of my eldest who will be getting married in 2027, I would hate to think that there was any form of family disagreements or disgruntlements that would take that place, you know. It's so sad. And for it to be played out in the media the way it has, you never get the full picture.
No, you never do.
There's always two sides to a story. And it's very, very sad. That's indeed what it is, because they're getting married today.
And this is about they have banned Adam Peaty's mum from their wedding today, and the only part of the I think the Ramsey family are going to attend with his sister.
One of his sisters. But again, it's just incredibly sad. And as I said, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and we don't know why.
No, we don't. And it's like the Beckhams' story as well, with their son who got married and then all sorts of ruptions.
Was Adam Peaty married before?
He has a relationship. He had a relationship with the mother of his child, a very brief one, it's reported.
Right.
And that child is now 5. And it's sad that he won't be there either.
Yeah. Can we talk, Duncan, about... well, explain this headline. New road pricing to cost us £189 million over Christmas. What's this about?
Yeah, so this is a curious piece in the Daily Express today. So what they've done is they've looked at a bit of research about how many people drive around the festive period. Then they've got the new figures that are coming in from April 2028 for road pricing if you have an electric vehicle. And they've concluded it would cost people £189 million over Christmas. So to break it down a little bit, you've got Quick Fit, who say UK drivers travel a collective 6.3 billion miles over the Christmas period. That breaks down to 169 miles each. Then they've gone away and they've looked at what Rachel Reeves as Chancellor said in the budget. If you drive an electric car, because of course, you know, the Treasury's not going to get the money it used to get from fuel duty from people who've got electric cars, and they're introducing the pay per mile charging, and it will work out about 189 million £2 that'll go to the Treasury. This is charges of 3p per mile to be introduced by the government as of April 2028. I don't have an electric car. I have a 14-year-old car, which I'm more than happy to
It's
drive.
the same car as me. I think mine's 14 years old.
Is it petrol or diesel?
Petrol.
Yeah, mine's petrol. And it's 4x4, which is great because where I live, you need a little bit of that going on. I have a massive amount of sympathy for people who thought buying an electric car was a good thing to do for the planet, and they were told this is the future. And now, because the Treasury is going to miss out on a load of cash from fuel duty, because you obviously don't have that with electric cars, they're going to have to fork out pay per mile.
But how are they going to count it? How can they accumulate the evidence?
I think it's on MOT certificates.
Yeah, well...
So how many miles have you done?
Oh yes, that would make
your last
sense,
MOT?
wouldn't it? Yeah. I mean, the other problem
more cameras.
Is that, and also the tracking, I think, of the cars.
Yeah.
I think it's...
Yeah,
anyway,
all of it. I think. I mean, the other thing is the electric cars. They were hailed as this great thing, but they are heavier.
Yes.
They do, and they do contribute to potholes. So actually, there is part of me kind of thinks, you know, yes, OK, you're doing it. I don't know. It's
the thing is, they were
difficult, isn't
scammed.
it?
They did the same with diesel.
Yes,
everybody go and buy a diesel car. It's great, and then they scammed everybody, and they're doing the same again.
Yeah. And they didn't. Yeah, they didn't think it through. Have we got time to do a story about which I find interesting, Claire? About this is the headline is lipstick cuts risks of depression.
Fantastic. Over 72% of over 65s in the sample that was researched showed that women who presented themselves well had less mental health issues, were more dexterous with their hands, and indeed were a bit more mobile.
What about
and
men?
Therefore had a... Well, that's a different story.
Men at weekends who like...
Well, that's
nothing
a
wrong with
different
that.
story.
They
That's
like
a
to
different
do
headline.
Arthur to Martha.
That's, well, we're not going. I'm certainly not going to go down that route. However, it's a bit like the economy of scale. When the economy is going good and people are wanting to treat themselves, so they will buy a lipstick to get them out of the depression. And I, as someone who doesn't take the rubbish out without putting a bit of a face on, I welcome that. We should all be making the effort.
That just sounds like common sense, doesn't it? If you look, you feel good, you look good, so you're going to feel happier.
It's all about confidence, isn't it? Yeah, it gives you a sense of confidence and well-being.
Yes.
I happen to buy moleskin gilets as opposed to lipstick.
This is a gilet.
Gilet, that's what I was told it was. Yeah.
It probably is a gillet.
I haven't found a lipstick yet that matches. So.
Yeah. You've got a nice story though, Duncan, haven't you? Sorry, I'm cutting across you just because I like this British Museum story.
I was about to say.
Oh, this is dreadful.
There we go.
So this is the British Museum. Remember, this is it gets a lot of its core costs paid for by the government, just so we have some context here. But they also do fundraising, and they have this idea of a ball, a red, white, and blue themed ball. But of course, some of their staff went, "Oh, that's awful," because those are the colours of the British national flag, the Union flag, and there have been people who are associated with right-wing politics who've been hoisting flags up, and we don't like this. So some of their staff have kicked off.
Bunch of stupid
Sorry, it's the
people.
British Museum.
Yeah.
It's the British Museum. And actually, I happen to like the Union. I keep on calling it the Union Jack. I know it's the Union flag. Why can't we call it the Union Jack, just out of interest?
Probably racist or something, or bigoted.
No, there is a theory that it can only be the Jack if it's on the stern of a ship.
That's right.
Oh, well, I like the idea of it being a Union Jack.
Union flag. And do you know what, guys? I think the pubs are open. Let's go.
It's amazing how, spending time in America, how much they love their flag, they're proud to fly it. Everywhere. And regardless of your politics, the flag is flying from government buildings, from coffee shops, whatever. And then you come here and you've got...
And it's a positive identity trope.
It's so sad it's only in this country, isn't it? Other countries, aside from the USA, are more than happy with their flag. But here it's just like, oh, red, white and blue, that might offend someone. It's like, oh, come on, grow up.
Yeah. Also, as I said, I think it's quite a nice, jaunty flag. I mean, you look at some of the flags around and I think, you know, I think this is a good flag because I think it suits in terms of colourways and everything. You know how some of them get yellow flags and you think some people just do not look good in yellow.
It's also got the Scottish flag in it and the Welsh and, you know,
no, they're all of
George's Cross. Yeah. They're all in it.
Here's a question. Would you rather, if you had to be forced to fly one flag, would it be the St George's Cross or
I like the Union Jack.
Are you more of a unionist or an English
No, it's just because I like the look of it. Sorry, it's entirely sort of...
Yeah, I'm half Scottish, so it'd be the Union flag for me.
Absolutely, Union flag all the way.
Yeah, no, I like
What about you, Ben?
I don't know. My wife's family is Scottish.
Yes, I know.
So I've got some links there. My mother's family was Scottish. I don't know.
So you just go for the blue and the red?
The thing is, this is controversial. It's going to cause another hour-long segment, which we haven't got time for. But I love the Scots and the Welsh and the Northern Irish and the Irish.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's reciprocated. I think the Scots and the Welsh, they've got a bit of a thing with the English.
The question was, which flag would you fly?
Oh, the St George's Cross.
Oh, no, I've just suddenly thought, of course, the Welsh flag. Where's the Welsh flag in our flag? In the Union Jack? Can we not have a dragon on there as well? And then we'd all be I think we'd be happier if we had a dragon in the middle.
Dragon wouldn't go with it. That would
why
make
not?
it jaunty, Penny. That would make it too jaunty.
Right, thank you both for this morning. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you, Penny, for having me.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not. So it's my house. Sorry, I think it was just...
Make an impromptu visit on brekkie.
Yeah, bustling in. Thank you very much. And that is it from us, but stay tuned because it is Saturday Morning Live next with Charlie Peters and Olivia Utley. So what have you got coming up?
Well, good morning. It's great to be in the house of Penny Smith today for our programme. We have got a great show coming up today covering the latest political lines, aren't we, Olivia?
Yes, we have. We're going to be talking about a new prediction from Lord Hayward, an eminent pollster, suggesting that Keir Starmer could do even worse in the May elections than previously thought. In Scotland and Holyrood, where Labour was hoping to win off the SNP, they could now come third behind the SNP and Reform. Is this the end of our Prime Minister? And who could replace him? Could we see a return of Angela Rayner?
Yeah, those big questions coming up. Also, we'll be talking about that British Museum story you've just been covering. Ben and Penny, lots of questions there about pride in our flag, pride in our nation. And Ben, you were just talking about in the US being a bit different there, of course. We have seen some recent incidents, haven't we, of flag burning in the US. I think the president over there, Donald Trump's trying to ban that. So we'll also be bringing that in and comparing and contrasting. Also talking about this British military gap year. Used to be just for officers, now it's for all soldiers. Will it make a difference? All that coming up on Saturday Morning Live after the weather. Hope you can stay with us.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a role reversal out there today. If you saw the sunshine yesterday, you're likely going to be seeing quite a lot of cloud today, but for some of us at least there will be some sunshine by this afternoon. It's a damp and drizzly start to the day though across some eastern and northeastern parts of Scotland. Bits and pieces of light rain just pushing southeastwards into northeast England by this afternoon as well. So the best of the sunshine tend to become confined to southern, southwestern parts of England, western parts of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by this afternoon. Quite cloudy elsewhere and breezy in places, particularly in the south, so temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees, but feeling colder when you factor in the breeze. Now, the rain should generally start to clear away from northeastern Scotland by this afternoon and this evening, so tending to turn a little bit dry here. Perhaps some patchy fog developing as we go through this evening, but generally largely dry by 5 o'clock. A mixture of cloud and clear spells across Northern Ireland to end the day, but overall many parts of England and Wales will be fairly grey to end this evening. There'll be some late clear spells across western parts of Wales and the very far southwest, but even here, as we go through the course of this evening, the cloud is likely to arrive. So bits and pieces of light drizzle, perhaps working southwards across parts of Wales and southern England into the early hours. So a much milder night to come across England, Wales and Northern Ireland compared to last night, largely frost-free. But for Scotland,